Danful offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshi traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danful, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danful, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danful, Africa. To learn more, visit danful.africa.
Peace, family. We're alive again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Uhuru. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us on this Super Bowl Sunday. Super Bowl Sunday. Who you guys got? The Seahawks or the Patriots? Again, who you guys got? The Seahawks or the Patriots? I'm really not a NFL guy. Now, my team is technically the Raiders, but they suck. The Raiders suck right now. Hopefully we draft Fernando Mendoza with our number one pick. But, telling from the Raiders, no telling what direction the GM is going to go in. But hopefully the right pick will be Fernando Mendoza. I like that kid. He'll be a great pick. But again, knowing the Raiders, we might take like an O tackle or somebody, just knowing them and pass up on Fernando Mendoza. But guys, make sure you hit that like button. Again, please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. Again, if you're new, if this is your first time watching a In Search of a Who stream or a video or whatnot, please subscribe. Join the family. We would love to have you here. Got a couple of announcements. We're rolling to Cape Town May 25th through April 4th, May 25th through April 4th. We are rolling to Cape Town. If you're interested in joining us, please visit Danful.Africa. Again, please visit Danful.Africa. We will love to have you. Also, we are going to Senegal in May for the Jazz Festival. That is the Jazz Festival is May 9th through the 18th. May 9th through the 18th. If you're interested in joining us, please visit Danful.Africa. We would love to have you and host you. Then we're going to Nigeria in August for Oshun. Zanzibar in September for Safari Blue. And then we're going to close it out end of the year. We're going to do Sierra Leone, Ghana and Ivory Coast is one trip. And then we're going to do Sierra Leone afterwards. So again, come and join us. That is going to be in November. So visit Danful.Africa. Again, visit Danful.Africa to learn more. Guys, here's the site. In fact, just go visit the site. Sign up for the mailing list, please. Again, please sign up for the mailing list. Don't be a stranger. We love to host you all. We love y'all. Thank you very much. Without further ado, let's jump into today's topic. Do you guys remember? In fact, let me pull it up. Let me see if I can still find it. I know other content creators, they've actually did a video or a reaction to the ABC the ABC news segment on FBA Black History Month. So I guess instead of Black History Month, it is FBA History Month. And so we actually watched it on the ABC site, but they've pulled it. They have pulled it, which is interesting. Very interesting. They actually pulled it. But let's see if we can find it. I found it very actually I think they came with a well, hold on, let's play the segment.
On this Black History Month, we're highlighting foundational Black Americans whose ingenuity, innovations, and labor play a critical role in American culture and infrastructure, including Alexander Miles, who invented automatic elevator doors in 1887, and Garrett Morgan, who invented the 3-light traffic signal in 1923. And our next guest is working to ensure that foundational Black Americans' contributions are known.
Before the modern day toilet, the can, the pot, the throne, the john, whatever you call it, going to the bathroom used to be messy, uncomfortable, it smelled bad, and it could also spread disease. All that began to change because the foundational Black American invented the modern indoor toilet, and his name was Thomas Elkin.
Yeah, thank goodness for Thomas Elkin. And that is just one of many videos made by author and creator of Foundational Black American Legacy, Teresa Allman. On this Black History Month, we're highlighting foundational Black Americans whose ingenuity, innovations, and labor.
So the American, the Freedmen Reparations Fund Trust, they've sent a response to it, or they wanted clarification on why it was pulled. So this is the letter this is the email. Dear editorial standards team, I am writing on behalf of the Freedmen Reparations Fund Trust regarding a recently published ABC News video segment titled excuse me, honoring contributions of foundational Black Americans, which was accessible at the following URL prior to its removal. It has come to our attention that this segment, which previously aired and was hosted on the ABC News website, is no longer available. We are reaching out to request clarification regarding the basis for its removal. For purpose of accuracy and institutional record keeping, we respectfully request confirmation of the following. Whether the segment was removed as a result of an internal editorial review, external complaint, or a policy reassessment. Whether the terminology foundational Black Americans was determined to be inaccurate, inconsistent with ABC News editorial standards, or otherwise objectionable, and whether the removal affects a broader change in ABC News editorial classification guidance concerning historical and cultural identifiers. At this time, we are not requesting reinstatement of the segment. Our inquiry is limited to understanding the rationale for removal, so our institutions may accurately assess the editorial determination and maintain correct historical and public records. The Freedmen Reparations Fund Trust is a private institutional body engaged in documentation, verification, historical record preservation. The American Freedmen Legal Fund is copied for awareness and institutional continuity. We would appreciate a written response at your earliest convenience, respectfully. I'm going to give my 2 cents on why I think it was removed. I think ABC, and this is just my opinion, I could be wrong, started to research FBA and started to see how ignorant a lot of you guys are. I'll give you an example of FBA logic. So me and my son, we're watching a documentary on Capoeira. I think I'm saying it right. Well, this is just an example. Okay, but also I'll give a real example of it, of the ignorance. But the mindset of FBA, and by definition, per definition, I'm FBA, and I actually don't have an issue with the term, me personally. It's just the ignorance and stupidity that some of the loudest individuals who consider themselves FBA is a problem. Capoeira, I can't put up Capoeira, whatever, however you say it. Elvis, I don't need your grammar corrections. Me and my son were watching a documentary on it. And Brazilians, they acknowledge that the martial art originates from Africa. They realize, they don't deny it. And to be honest, when did it start? When did the first Africans arrive in Brazil? And this is probably be a topic for tomorrow. So the first recorded group of enslaved Africans arrived in Brazil in 1538. When did the first recorded Africans arrive in present-day United States of America? Well, it was 1620? $1619. The first documented Africans arrived in English North America in late August 1619. But what's interesting, the Brazilians aren't as ignorant, even though they're more foundational. I guess FBB, foundational Black Brazilians. They aren't as ignorant as the foundational Black Americans. So they embrace and recognize their connection to Africa and how their origins and their culture come from Africa. Which brings me to capoeira. If I'm saying it right, they acknowledge that it is a martial art that originates from Africa. Now, if this were FBA, they will argue up and down that it's not from Africa. They will argue up and down that it's not from Africa. If this martial art came to America first before Brazil. So say capoeira came from Africa, Angola, to America first. Team FBA will argue up and down that that's not the case. And I'll give you a real example. Jambalaya. Jambalaya. The base of jambalaya is jollof rice. Again, the base of jambalaya is jollof rice, which was brought to America via enslaved Africans from the Senegamian area. These so-called FBAs will argue you up and down that that's not true. That the base, the rice, which is the base of jambalaya, ain't got nothing to do with no Africa. They will argue you up and down that rice, that red rice, which is the base of jambalaya, has nothing to do with Africa, when the reality is it is jollof rice. That's just one example. And I think what happened when ABC started to go online and see how ignorant these folks are, they were like, hell nah. Even though with the sister who was spitting the history and sharing history of FBA in regards to Garrett Morgan and stoplight and other inventions, this ain't a straw man. This is the truth. You should see how ignorant these folks are. And again, I have no problem. Some people disagree. I have no problem with the title ADOS, FBA. I have no problem. But these folks are just so ignorant and borderline stupid and revisionist. Afro-Brazilians who are more foundational to where they are than foundational Black Americans have really embraced their African roots and their connection. Meanwhile, FBA, they would rather be a Native American Indian than anything having to do with Africa. Hey, if you disagree, I'm going to put the link in the chat room. If you disagree, call in. No. The reparations part, I get. I get the reparations part, but the problem, in order to delineate, for some reason, like, you don't have to completely deny or reject your African roots in order to delineate. That's what I'm saying. And these folks are going out of the way to deny and reject and disconnect themselves from their African roots. It's like, okay, to disconnect themselves from the African roots, to sit here and say, that they're Native American Indian. I don't hear no Afro-Brazilians talking about we was already here. Go ahead, black man. Unmute yourself. Black man, you got to unmute yourself. Go ahead, black man.
Oh, yeah. So what I was looking at, man, I'm just thinking about how that whole thing about the ABC, Black History Month, FBA, whatever. I just think it was just a acknowledgement. I think they just wanted to acknowledge that they see, the online movement. If you think about it, the U.S. News and stuff, they get they stuff off of the online stuff now. They don't even go by their own old school sources. They're looking at what's going on online. They just wanted to, basically shout out Black Americans, say, hey, we see y'all. This is what's going on. The talking points.
Okay. So just acknowledgement and just remove it, just to kind of like, hey guys, y'all here, but remove it. Is that what you're saying, or?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think it was meant to be like a big old hoopla. But what I do think is that a lot of they probably got calls from like a lot of people who just disagree with FBA in general and say, hey, you got these guys that hate us, and it's not a
I
good
don't know.
look.
I'm pretty sure they get more complaints about other segments than that one.
Well, if you think about it, a lot of times people, when they see anything specifically Black American, is going to be under extra scrutiny anyway. It seems like that's the case, and I really think that's probably what it was. It just they started getting a bunch of emails, a bunch of ads on social media, and they said, "Well, this is causing a little bit too much problems. We got to relook at this again."
Mm-hmm. No, understood. Go ahead, M.
You hear me? Can you hear
I
me?
hear you loud and clear.
So yeah, I want to respond to what you just said, that FBA is trying to sever ourselves from Africa. So didn't Africa sever us from them when they sold us and had us marching around some tree of forgetfulness? And since then, have they ever claimed you? I mean, you went over there and made it your business to connect to Africa, but where have they ever, as a whole, in the last 500 years, claimed Black people in America?
When you say claim, like what exactly do you want?
I
What are your expectations?
I mean, we could believe or not the history that they teach us about the transatlantic slave trade, but if that is true, that meant that they didn't want us. They severed us from Africa.
You said believe or not. Why do
I mean, it could be true, it could not be true. Let's just say it's true.
Okay, so let's back up for a second. Do you believe it's true? Yes or no?
I mean, it could be true. Based on the data, some people did come over here. Maybe all of us came over here. Say all of us did, just perhaps all of us came over here from Africa.
Well, you keep saying perhaps. Like, what do you believe?
Okay, let's just say all of us came from Africa. Let's just say I believe it, right?
We keep saying, do you believe it or not?
Does it matter if I believe?
It does matter because it kind of proves my point. But
I would say this. Say I do believe it. I'm gonna just say I believe it. I believe it because I've been taught that my whole life.
Do you believe it or not?
Okay, for now, I believe it, right? I believe. We believe it.
Ain't no for now, but again,
okay, I believe it, right? I believe that we came from Africa, right? So didn't Africa reject us? Why would we want to go back to a people that threw us in the garbage? Why would you want to go back to that?
Well, are there some Africans who are complicit? Absolutely, but to say all Africans are complicit, that's just not true.
Name a country that fought in the Civil War to free us from slavery, other than Germany and France. What an African country that helped.
These countries didn't exist to the 60s or 70s.
Germany sent immigrants here to fight in the Civil War. Africa, they had they was companies, the Royal African Company that became Nigeria.
Well, again, these countries didn't exist during the Civil War.
Somebody, I'm talking about somebody existed before
I take that back. The only country that existed during the Civil War,
Liberia. Right. But I would say this: who sold us to the Europeans? Then I mean, you had the company of Senegal that was a French company, but they had chiefs working there running the slave trade. Why would you want to go back to these people who betrayed you like that, betrayed your ancestors like that?
Were there some sellouts? Absolutely, but not all. You have to say there were people on both sides. So whatever village you came from, your family members, they were also affected.
Well, let me say this before I leave. Let me say this though. So we know for a fact that a lot of us was sent to Sierra Leone from the Caribbean, America, the British, and then Liberia. Why did the Africans not accept us? To this day, they still don't accept the Liberians.
You gotta let me talk. I have.
Go ahead.
I have citizenship in Sierra Leone
because you probably have a bloodline of.
Yeah, that's the point. If you prove you have, if you could trace your lineage via DNA to Sierra Leone, you're eligible for citizenship. So I don't understand your point.
That's true, but I'm saying Sierra Leone was set up after we were sold from the other Africans. That's not really considered. That's considered like a colony.
They're all colonies. They were all colonies. Except for
a colony from us. An American colony or like a colony set up for ex-slaves.
Well, no, it was still colony. It was a British colony, but it was still a British colony.
we could agree to disagree, but my whole thing was the response to what you said. Like, we're severing ourselves. Since I've been alive, I'm not even we might be the same age. Since I was a child, they always told us we was African, that the motherland. It wasn't until recently that we all came to a common consensus that these people really don't mess with us like that. We are reaching out to them since I'm not even 100. I'm not even 60 years old. I remember we was Pan-African in the 90s, but it never was like it was never receptive. So why would we want to continue that path going to people who just don't want you?
No, I understand that, but again, that still doesn't mean the culture, the foundation of Black American is still heavily African influenced.
I
No
mean,
matter
we're
what.
basically go ahead. I ain't gonna keep hogging all the time.
Well, just want to quick jump in that with that when a lot of times with the problem with Pan-African mindset is that instead of being objective and saying, you know, yes, a lot of the Africans, it wasn't. We try to minimalize Africa's role in the slave trade when how you can't be a minimal amount when there's millions of people getting shipped all around Europe and the Caribbean and South America and North America. It was a big deal. It was a whole economy.
Before we got shipped off, did we participate in a slave trade?
Who was we?
Black Americans who came from those lineages in Africa.
Let me answer that. Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
Okay, what I understand is in 1452, Papal Bill Dum Diversis by Nicholas V was against Muslims to enslave all non-Christians. And that included the people that was in Africa. So the ones that was enslaved primarily were Muslims, like from Senegal or the Mali Empire. It wasn't the Christians. The Christians was the ones that was doing this on behalf of the Pope. Because back then, people was known by their religion mainly. So a lot of us that was enslaved were Muslims.
And also African traditionalists, Muslims and people that worship the African religion. Yes, you're right.
You still have the division in Nigeria, and Niger is predominantly Muslim, and Mauritania, Senegal. So there's still remnants of the people that's still there, but it was a religious separation. But it was by the Pope who ordered the enslavement of all non-Christians in 1450. Somebody can look it up. Papal Bill Dum Diversis. Yeah. So that's when they really started going hard against the Muslims.
Hey guys, hold on. Africa is your turn.
All right, thank you very much. I mean, the brother is raising some concern. Thank you, Dennis. He's making some valid point also because, you know, all the online propaganda, you know, anti-African, and also someone from a slave descent, you know, we should not minimize slavery in any form. Okay, and the problem I see also, I hear, like I admit that based on history, I'm a Fulani person. My father is Fulani, my mother is Mandinka. But we both for the tribe participated in slavery based on what I know, you know, historically, right? But they don't hide it, you know. But the
Fulanis
region
were also heavily sold too, early on.
Yes, heavily. But the region happen to be the two countries where slavery accepted back, you know, to West Africa. You see, like that's like Sierra Leone and Liberia, because Guinea lost that land called Sierra Leone to you guys, and Liberia the south of the Guinea border. If you look at the map where Sierra Leone is along the river, the Mano River Union, you can see how the map is. You know, Sierra Leone is surrounded by Guinea. So we did our best, and to be honest, when you talk about modern day Pan-Africanism, it's from that region, it's from America to that region throughout the history. And then obviously, if you look at the highest amount of slaves that was taken out of Africa, you know, they sold out of Africa. They came from where you call Nigeria, you know, the southwest region to Congo. That's how most of the black slaves were taken out, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, it just shows you a trend of the I don't want to put religion against, you know, this, because this is complicated. You can see this trend between the Islam and the Christian versus Muslim situation that always have played out. And then you have the tribal issue that plays into it. Okay. And, you know, in terms of your, you know, you being African American, not being accepted in the continent, I think it depends on which country you go to. You know, some countries, as Daniel said to you, Sierra Leone accept people based on their tribes because they want them to assimilate into the culture, and that's very important, and to find itself back. And I think most West African countries should therefore open a bit more to someone that's come from that country instead of tribes, because there is one tribe in Sierra Leone, you find them in all over the rest of the region. So that will help. That's my point. Thank you.
All right, let me pass it to Dre. Go ahead, Dre. Unmute yourself.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So my perspective on like FBA in general is that I feel like FBA is designed to kill the ADOS movement to basically uh, get rid of the real grassroots work that's really being done. And at the same time, I also think that when we talk about the identity of being African, I'm like, we as Black Americans, we acknowledge that genetically we are of African descent. I don't deny that, but I think the fact that people are just stamping that label on us as if like we were born there or that we have very close ties to it, as if we are not far removed from that, I think is being disingenuous in a way. And I think that we need to have more context and more nuance in terms of what it means to be African as a Black American. And I know with some FBA people that say that the ones who are of the pretendian crowd who say that they come from Chickasaws and Cherokees and all that. But I think that we have to kind of have a conversation that's a little bit more like, how do we, identify ourselves with, a particular type of region in terms of Africa, if you want to kind of have that, discussion, or if you want to say that, okay, if we're going to go with the American identity, does it necessarily have to be Native American, or can we just say that we're American who happens to be, of African descent? I also would like to say that every time we have these discussions, I notice that ADOS gets marginalized, and that people tend to only talk about FBA, and then ADOS is basically excluded and then just kind of lumped in with FBA, even though FBA is not really doing the work versus ADOS. ADOS is the one that's really fighting for what we're actually fighting for in terms of reparations and the Black agenda. Most of the time, FBA is just on the internet, just arguing with Africans and Caribbean people. That's all they're doing all day. Now, of course, they got buzz recently on the ABC News in terms of, the Black inventors and all that. But I think is really being used as a tool, like COINTELPRO, to disturb the grassroots movements. I really do think that's what's going on right now with the FBA movement. Now, I feel like Tariq has a lot of entertaining type of content, but I think his content is not serious. People don't take FBA seriously. They don't take it seriously. Most of the time, people just see it as a joke because all he does is just denigrate people. I mean, of course, people say he roasts people and stuff like that. And of course, I'm aware of the roasting culture, but all he does is just sit around all day and just argue back and forth with people who are not of the lineage. And I think somebody, a while back on this panel said that that Tariq is basically copying and pasting the brown paper bag test like, model of how FBA tends to identify people, where they're saying like, well, I can tell you're not of the lineage if you critique them or something like that. And I'm like, and he did that to me when I was on one of his Twitter spaces one time. And I know that they do this on a daily basis. Like every time you disagree with them, they tend to always go to this whole, I guess you could say like just go on this tangent about like, well, you're not this enough because or you're not of that particular lineage because you're saying something against it, or you are a Democratic shill if you question Trump. And I do feel like FBA is trying to or what Tariq is trying to do is that he's trying to push it down the MAGA pipeline, but he wants to covertly do that while his followers are just like very oblivious to the agenda that's being pushed. Now I pass the mic.
And can I say that would be a good thing, because then they're gonna find a new leader, and I think they need a new leader if it's gonna be something long term serious.
I
who
mean, there's
have
different
focus.
platforms. There's Adonis
Yeah,
Live, and there's Daily Wrap Up Crew.
yeah,
There's a lot of FBA
yeah,
platforms.
yeah. Hopefully, someone will take over. Let him go.
Well, it's really, if you think about it, what the brother was just talking about is just the leaders of the different factions of the Black American movement is beefing, and so they are just like with everything else, they infight on everything. So whether you're Hebrew Israelite on this sect,
Right,
you beefing on one end. If you're a Moorish Science Temple person, you beef with other Moors. If you 5%ers, you beefing with it's like it's the same thing over and over again. That's why I don't get caught up with all these terms. But at the end of the day,
right,
everybody knows what a Black American is. We have a culture that's
right.
been established in this country for hundreds of years now, and that's it. And people are overblowing it because of what leaders saying in the talking points. And to me, that's just is
Right,
where it gets muddied at.
Can I say something?
right. Yeah, of course you can.
Okay. So when people talk about Tariq Nasheed, they don't understand he's just a contemporary intellectual thought leader. We always have those who try to guide the people without necessarily forcing the people like a king or whatever. But when I saw the drama that happened that started with the FBA and I ain't gonna call them the T word, I ain't gonna use the T word, but the so-called non-FBA was when we was heavy on reparations, there was a lot of people that was black skinned vocally saying we shouldn't get it. It was like this lady, she won a contest, an essay contest, by saying we don't deserve reparations. She's a whole African. They got a full ride. So we just started seeing like the common factors adding up. Like these people really don't want us to have anything. For one, they say they want to come and take all of they doing better than us economically and getting all of these positions in power. And then they don't want us to get any type of redress for past harms that I ain't gonna say they participated in, but this stuff happened long before they got here, and they don't want us. For some reason, they seem like they antagonistic against us, so we're reacting to
Yeah.
that. Like, why
Can
are
I
these
ask you a
people
question, my
against
brother?
us?
Oh,
Yeah.
can I say
In the
something?
yeah, a part of reparation, what do FBA really want? Is that's a question they got to
There's
ask
a
themselves.
crime that
And
happened,
then after that,
transatlantic slave trade.
after that, I got to pass it to Kofi. Go ahead, Em. Go ahead, Em.
Yeah, ask you a question, sir. I said after a part of reparation, what else does FBA really want?
But there's a crime of vast humanity. The United Nations just made a order that said that reparations must be paid, irregardless if you could trace the people that was the victims. And then the government of Ghana the president of Ghana started saying they wanted to be paid reparations because the slaves that they sold built the power of America. So they want to be compensated for that. So
Oh,
the
wow.
United Nations already determined that it must be paid. And the victims and the people who participated in it owe the debt, including the African nations. This is what the United Nations
You,
already said. So now the Africans are trying to somehow maneuver their way into being, how can I say it, a claimant, even though they're the ones that the United Nations said gotta pay too. But I'm gonna stop talking though.
Let me pass it to Kofi. Go ahead, Kofi.
Yeah, I believe the FBA movement, right? You could just see, right, that ABC used it. I know they had a vote on it and they decided to play it. They decided to create a segment. Now, it's called Black History Month. All they did was add foundational Black History Month or foundational Black American History Month, whatever, and it caused controversy. And obviously, they don't want to hurt their viewership and they don't want to be boycotted because FBA is on the internet every day and they've taken a stance. They don't want to be right. They don't want to be generic Africans,
True.
right? And
Yeah.
they want the same thing that the Jews got. Um, Jim Crow happened during the Holocaust. It happened before and well after the Holocaust. And this transatlantic slave trade also lasted longer than any in which would happen to the white Jews that went to settle Israel, right? They're getting billions and billions of dollars, and they're still getting it to today. And all they got to do is spy on Iran, and they just keep on getting it. And FBA Black Americans, they feel disrespected, and that pulling of a segment tells the whole thing. It's anti-establishment. It was able to slip through, but it's not the true agenda. And as a person who went to Africa, I think we need more resources to make that move to Africa. Just like when we went to settle in Sierra Leone, when we went to settle in Liberia, we got so much resources that we was able to fight slave traders in the slave trade there. That's how much resources we got to enter
Exactly.
Africa, and we don't
Thank
got that today. Go ahead.
All right, let me pass it to Burkina Bay, then Elvis. Well, let me read these super chats first. J Sarp 1310 $2. Thank you for $2. Holla, what's up, Dynus? JC Inc. Thank you for $4.99. Holla. There were wars between tribes. The prisoner wars were sold as slaves to Europeans. The weak Africans ended up in the New World, the Americas. All right, go ahead, Burkina Bay.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you guys doing?
Doing well.
Peace.
Cool. So,
Peace.
yeah. So Dynus, I think I agree with what you said. Okay. I think what happened is that they researched about FBA, and indeed they saw how ignorant they were, and that's why they took it down. Okay. So I totally agree with that. This is what I think as well. However, I was thinking about jumping in and bringing up the handwritten letter of Pope Nicholas V. And as I was thinking about it, Brother M mentioned it, okay? So that means that he knows about it. But I guess there are details about that handwritten letter that he probably don't know, okay? And I'm gonna share what I know, all right? There's an African author after the name of Assini Fasasi who wrote a book about it, okay? So not just did those Portuguese gangsters not just did they accomplish the mission that the Pope sent them to accomplish in Africa, okay? But they even brought, reports to the Pope of how well they did the job, okay? And those Portuguese, those gangsters were called lançados, okay? This is the name they gave them, all right? So, yeah. So this brother can be having this kind of knowledge, okay? And be holding so much grudge against continental Africans. And also, if I'm not mistaken, I think Kofio mentioned the fact that there's a minority of Black Americans who sold their brothers. Who own slaves. This is what I wanted to say. So there's a minority of Black Americans who also own slaves, okay? So you have the good ones who did it to help their brother and to help the cause. And then you had the bad ones who did it in an oppressive way, all right? So, yeah.
And there were
now,
Africans who lost family members to the slave trade.
Yeah. One last thing is that Brother M, all right? What is to say that you're not a descendant of one of those Africans who got caught while selling their brothers? Because there are reports of Africans who were selling their own and who got caught and got sold in slavery after getting caught. So what is to say that you're not a descendant of one of those, right? That's hard to prove, okay? And Kofio is right for what he just said also, okay? Because there were victims on the continent also of Africans who lost their family members, right? So all of this is not to minimize the hurdle that Black Americans went through, okay? But like the same arguments that are going to be used to defend the African Americans who own slaves in the United States are the exact same arguments that needs to be used, okay, to have understanding of what happened on the African continent. it's not the majority of Black Africans who participated. Okay, we're talking about a continent of 2 billion people. Okay, a minority can be the ones that are going to be used to define an entire continent. And I'll stop for now. I'll pass the mic for now.
Mr.
All right,
Dynasty.
go ahead, Elvis.
All right, thank you, Dinas, and hello to the panel in the chat. Look, I think the segment was interesting, and what I saw and what I found more interesting was that the inventions or the inventors that they were talking about. I mean, have we done a fact check on those to make sure that that's accurate? If so, then these people need to be celebrated more. So I think the FBA, even though they went by that nomenclature, they were really trying to propagate their inventors and people who contributed a lot to the society today. So if these are indeed true, because usually it's a black man will come up with an idea, a white man may take that idea, steal that idea, refine it, and and make it into the product that we're using today. So if it's true that the black man invented the toilet, as we call it, then that's a big deal. It should be pretty much all over the internet, and and celebrated. But like some FBA sometimes say, yes, some black people may have a hand in certain inventions, but then other people add to it and make it into what we use today. But like other people were saying, it's probably most likely that some people call the station, their local ABC affiliates, and complain that this is a hate group. These people are hateful. Maybe send some clips. You know how America is. Everybody's gonna want to be heard. If they feel offended by somebody, they're gonna call in and complain about it. So maybe that's why it was pulled down, because people thought it was too divisive, and maybe they hadn't done their research. And the brother that was reading that news, I hate to say, but he looks and sound African. So maybe he's heard about the FBA. Maybe he might be African American. But for me, I think the whole issue with the slave trade, and maybe Dinus, you can do a show on this. I've always said that is legitimate that African Americans feel a deep sense of hurt and betrayal by Africans, that their ancestors were sold into slavery and went through some of the most horrendous things on this continent. That's something that we as Africans should be empathetical to, because if my ancestor went through something, so horrible like that, I probably wouldn't forget for 10 generations. So when these guys are talking about it, I empathize with them, because I feel like, if you put yourself in their shoes, you wouldn't want anybody trying to downplay it. Yes, Africans didn't come together as a collective and say, let's enslave these people because they're different than us. There were a lot of things going on. There was a demand for slave, and there was a real threat to their lives for those who didn't collaborate, right? But at the same time, people did collaborate, and people did actually go out there and become slave traders. And those are the people who the anger should be directed to. Every tribe didn't participate, but in certain places, a lot of people did participate. So I think, Diners, you should maybe do a show, just an idea on African Americans and how they truly feel about Africans, quote unquote, their ancestors. Because I think that's a place of conversation that maybe we can bring some healing. Because when
I
something
agree.
goes,
Good
when
idea.
something goes undiscussed and people are hurt, and we try to minimize it and say, oh well, go talk to those people, go get, go give those, ask those tribes for reparation. It's like you're downplaying it. And as a human being, put yourself in their shoes. Yeah, put yourself in their shoes, and you will be angry for a long time, and you will look at people who you think were responsible for the suffering in collaboration with other people for the suffering of your ancestors. You wouldn't want to be their friends. You wouldn't want to have, break bread and be in fellowship with them, because you feel like they betray your ancestors. So let's be honest in the conversation. But I'll pass the mic.
All right, go ahead, Pamelato. Let me just sell Pamelato. Let me just sell Pamelato. All right. Go ahead, Major Bindu.
Hello, panel. Twofold. Nobody's denying that FBA have the right to be concerned, frustrated, but they're twofold. During the slavery time, they're kings. They're evidence of kings who fought against the colon, who are against those tribes who were doing slavery at that time, who didn't support slavery. So it's when people FBA is saying that all Africans sold them out. I really disagree. And I'm going to say this in regards to my grandfather, when this is a fact, when he was sharing this. It was so interesting with great grandfather when it was passed down that how the slaves were being captured, that they used mirrors. And mirrors, when Africans see mirrors at that time, it was a way that they were using that to get slaves. It was a trick when they see the white men bring the mirrors. And that's how he said that's how his cousin got captured to brought to the Americas. And that was a fact that he was talking about. But saying that all Africans were are supporting it, they did try. There's evidence of Africans who fought. I don't know if you watch the. Uh,
I think we have to be specific and name ethnic groups instead of just saying African.
mostly
Yeah,
mostly
that's too.
West
Yeah, that's
Africans.
too broad.
West Africans. Let me say West Africans. Uh,
We did fought out slavery throughout. We did fought out when they start coming in from the inland.
thank
We did actually really fight hard to stop it because in Islam, the
Well,
Muslim West African
let,
was
let Major Bindu finish. I got to pass the mic. Go ahead, Major Bindu.
Okay, sure. But the key thing is that I really think there was evidence. There's history. You have the Fulani, you have the Hausa, you have the Yoruba, some part of the Yoruba, the Oyo, the Ogbomoso, Alafin of a lot of Oyo. They did fight, even not only with the Europeans, and you have the when they were invading in 1890s, but they fought. They tried that one of the kings was exiled because of him fighting against it, not really rebelling against the. There's evidence of that they did try. So colonialism also, and also number two, you have the Portuguese. The Portuguese at that time, when we're talking about slavery, nobody's denying that there are Africans who did have slavery, but at that time it was due to wars, due to intertribal wars. What happened, which we do agree, which there's evidence that when the Europeans came, they take it to the next level. They brought capitalism into it, and that's the reason why you see. Now, I wanted to say another thing in regards to FBA in California. They did pass Governor Newsom was doing like a feasibility studies. They had a bunch of FBAs who already wanted to be. I don't know if the dynasty are aware of this. They approved actually to have people FBAs who have the evidence of them who are born in California, who have history of slavery, who are born in California, if they're in the Bay Area, to be able to be given $5 million a piece. Then in the world state of California, $2 million, up to $2 million. But guess who got that exited? It was the FBA politicians who got that annulled. They were not together about that. That's something that needs to be brought up. That's all I have to say.
I mean, by picking cotton, by existing on a plantation, that's participation. It is forced, but you have the decision to fight and die for what you think is right. The same can be said on an African continent. Yes, you can fight back, and you did fight back. But what if you lost? You were sold. Different African ethnic groups had the right, just like Europeans, to profit off the slave trade, right? Whether you're being sold and whether you then sold. Um, King Taki, right, was a Fanti prince. He was captured by a ethnic group called the Ahunta, and he was shipped to Jamaica. Ironically, he rebelled against the British, who hired the Maroons to stop that rebellion, and the Maroons rebelled 20 years before that. There's a lot of contradictions in this, and there's a lot of necessary evils, and we have to be very specific of who got sold and who was sold and who did the selling.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I live in the city of Edwin Colston. He was
Let
known
me
to
pass
be
the
one
mic
of the
to Michelle.
British slave trader. Okay.
Unmute yourself, Michelle. Go ahead, Michelle.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Black History Month. Thank you guys for hosting this panel, especially during the Super Bowl halftime. I think in reference to the FBA, again, I support the FBA. Again, it's lineage based, even though I may not qualify for it, but I understand it and I respect it. And I'm very disappointed they pulled that segment down. And I'm very disappointed for the Aspirin family for being the one to instigate that pull down. You know, we are at our Black Day
Hold on,
Aspirin.
you just said instigated the pull down. How do you have any?
I saw all these comments and X who, you know, FBA is a hate group, all sorts of X. And, you know, I noticed they were contributing factors. I will say that in terms of having that segment. I'm sure they wrote to the CEO of ABC.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Instead of them acknowledging it, being supportive of it, and I think, you know, having a bigger conversation about it, they'd rather be the ones to again be against it. And I get a lot of people have concerns against Tariq Nasheed because I guess he's the one who coined the term. But at the same time, it is a lineage. Per the definition, it's a lineage and it should be respected. And our next question is as the brother talks about slavery and who sold what, but who are the systems that benefited from slavery? The insurance system, the shipping yards. It became an entangled system. Yes, because some African chief who probably sold the slaves 300-400 years ago, his family system is probably poor today. It wasn't meant for us to intrinsically benefit from in the long term. Again, we need to have more deeper conversations about the slave system. In order for the slave system to work, yes, they needed other Africans. Because who was going to go into the interior and get the other Black people? They can't go because malaria, sunburn. Also, they got really crafty in how they recruited other Africans by force and other means to get others and bring it. Again, many people during that time period didn't have the concept of slavery as the European had it. So again, these are nuanced conversation. And again, like the brother shared, you know, we may need to have another conversation on that. Thank you.
Hey, can I respond to the last guy, Mr. Dinas?
Yeah, go ahead, and I'll pass it to Africa. Well, you know, let me read these super chats first.
Can I go
Taraka
after that?
3897, thank you for $5 holla. No football tonight. I'm shocked. Nah, I mean, I don't really watch NFL football. I'm a college football guy. Enigma 3747, thank you for $20 holla. Elvis Morris, thank you for $10 holla. The generational trauma of chattel slavery has been transferred for generations. He'll talk about and heal together. It's important. All right, go ahead, Em. After that, Africa.
Yeah, the guy was saying, you know, maybe I'm a descendant of somebody who sold somebody during slavery. The whole thing ain't really talking about slavery. It's talking about now, because we overcame that. We didn't have many victories, but it seems as though the same people that had contention with our ancestors when we was in the Mali Empire have the same type of contention. Instead of them supporting us for our redress, they're just putting up opposition for whatever reason. And if you think about it, because we need to talk about this history of the 14th century, 13th century, we know for a fact that the Mali Empire was the richest empire ever, probably to this day. And they had a connection with people in America. Like Mansa Musa brother allegedly lived in America. And we lost all of that. Somebody else is living on that land, that territory. And then our labor was exploited to build another empire. And then after we done overcame that, they say we don't deserve anything. So what's that all about? Why don't we deserve anything? Why don't we deserve to get any type of redress? We're not even talking about getting our ancestors' land that y'all done took from us when we was in Africa. That's a whole nother discussion. That's what the United Nations was talking about. You know, we just talking about reparations in America. We wasn't even talking about reparations from Africa. But it seemed that maybe they're somehow fearing that we might want to take what our ancestors were lost. You know, but that's about it.
All right, go ahead, Africa.
Yeah, I mean, to answer to the brother in terms of the early migration to the Americas from, was it Mansa Mahmoud? I forgot his name now.
Abubakar.
Maybe Abubakar, Mansa Abubakar, right? There are a lot of scholars that actually talk about that, and but to be honest with you, I don't know if the numbers were, to finish. I doubt, me personally, it's the numbers, okay, for that to happen. But don't be surprised that Africans have been to the United States of America, actually during the Spanish and the Portuguese, um, conquest, like those South Latin Americans. They've been there for a long time because I see slavery as a vengeance of the Almoravid. When Africans were chased out of Spain, they retreated. The Moroccans sat back, and that invasion was a payback. Because if you look at where Senegambia is today, all the way to the Moroccans today, right? When it was actually controlled by our ancestors, there used to be a lot of pillaging. The Europeans are never really happy. They wasn't settled. It was like a bad frontier with the black people. I reckon that's where the word ninja, in fact, come from. But I don't know about the numbers of those people that left the Mali Empire in that voyage that you're talking about. Um, and also in terms of slavery, reparation, like the Irish, for example, in the UK, the Irish were the first slaves in the city where I live. I'm living in the city of Edward Colston. Edward Colston was one of the biggest British slave trader. Okay, I don't think they have give the Irish people reparation. So it's a battle. But I think FBA should be a lobby group. And also, Diana, you did ask a question that everybody ignored. It's about why the Brazilian people are not asking for reparation like the FBAs in America. I think majority of
No,
the
that
slaves
that
that was
that that
carried.
that, that, that wasn't my question.
Oh, okay. What was it? Sorry, maybe I
No,
didn't get it right.
I'm saying why don't Afro Brazilians have such a why do they embrace their roots, African roots, more than FBA or Black
Oh, I see.
Americans?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's debatable.
Yeah. 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 I mean, if you look at them, the way they are, to be honest, their culture is also heavily influenced in the Brazilian culture when it comes to food, their way of life, in a way, their music, absolutely. And but also the lot of the women, lot of the people that were sold to Brazil, I think they were women's. So maybe it was different old factor. Um, so the transatlantic slave trade, it was, as I said, it was the Muslim and the African religious that was the biggest victim. But when you look at it, the people who actually came to slave us, they did not come just like that. They always came in to trade with us. We've been deceived so many times. This is the problem that we face. We're too open to outsiders, and we basically came to trade with us, just like what you see in the Sahel. They came to us to trade with us, and then after that, it turned to something else. So I don't. We should move away from the blame game, and I also understand about the African Americans, accepting non-FBA into their political movement or their system or their machinery. Because I live in the UK, where we have an African politician who is the leader of the opposition, who is purporting everything Caribbean people are crying about. Yeah, in terms of saying, slavery was the reason why most of the Caribbeans are here. Been underlooked when it comes to job opportunities, which it is, and education and so on. And she actually promoted one of the most racist white British man. Even the British people do not like him. She promoted him to the House of Lord. And this black woman, she's from Nigeria. It's like and these are the same people whose children's been basically being piloted to lead a lot of the black countries and the black, nations. And that is a chain that we need to cut because our elites have always deceived us. Whether it was a chief in Africa or that trader, or that king, they always have. We need a new system. I'll just pass it on for now. Thank you.
Oh, can I speak?
Yeah, go ahead. Let me read these super chats real
Yeah.
quick. The good King Justice, thank you for 499 holla. Embrace nationhood for Black Americans. There we go.
Okay, so you said your question was about Brazilians embracing their
Yeah, I think
African.
from what I observe, Afro Brazilians are more connected to their African roots than FBA.
Well, I mean that's arguable because I mean I know they have candomblé and they have capoeira and all that type stuff, but I would say that they first identify as Brazilian first, and then they'll say who happens to be African, because most Latino countries, they go by nationality first and then go by whatever race or ethnicity they are. So I think the fact that people are saying that they embrace more of their African identity versus Black Americans, I mean, that's kind of up for debate, because I mean there are some Black Americans that do embrace the African part of them. Of course, you got, like I said, you got some that say that they are Native American, that they are American Indian, however you want to put it. But that's a small minority. I think most Black Americans acknowledge that we do have West African heritage. It's just that we're anchored in the United States, so that's why we don't say we're African first. We say that we are most likely American who happens to be of African descent. And then we have to break that down a little bit more, because to say African is a very broad thing, because it's a continent. So it's like, how do we define ourselves through a continent that is broken down into like 50 plus countries? You see what I'm saying? In tribes and all of that type of stuff. So all we know is American culture. So that's the reason why we just say American first. And then also, to another point I would like to make about FBA, I feel like the term FBA, the problem I have with it is that it includes the word Black, and even if you want to make a reparations claim with that word, it would actually undermine it, because you're using the word Black, which indicates race, and it's supposed to be lineage based. So it's not entirely lineage based. It's mixed in. It's lineage based mixed in with race based. So it's not gonna pass the Supreme Court when it comes to the case. ADOS is more accurate because it says American and then descendants of slavery. Slavery is the institution. American is the identity. So I don't understand why people are trying to remix the word. I don't like the fact that we have too many terms to describe one group of people. You got Solon, you got FBA, you got ADOS, you got American Freeman. It's like, why do we have so many names to describe one thing or
Well,
one group of people? I
slavery
just don't understand.
slavery is a condition. I don't want to be called a slave, man, at the end of the day.
That's the institution that they were under at that time. It doesn't mean that you're a slave. It's just saying that that was, yeah, of course it was a condition, but that is the harm that was done. That's the reason why they Yvette included the slavery term, is to include the specific harm in order to push the agenda for reparations. That's basically the reason why it
That's
came to be in that way, huh?
all right. That's fair. When it comes to a specific category, yes, we are American descendants of slavery. But of course, just being called Black Americans, that is just or African Americans, is just simple. Now, found when you put all the foundational in it, and then you got these trolls, and you got people like Tyreek being a representation of that, that brings down the entirety of the movement in the group, and that's why it got pulled. Because I remember when I was almost forced to give up some dirt about what I was doing in Africa, and because I didn't want to forfeit that to Tyreek. Tyreek got mad and called me an anchor baby. And
So are you saying that FBA is more
that's why.
digestible? Is that what you're saying? Is that FBA is more digestible versus
Uh,
ADOS because it doesn't include the word slavery?
no, it's not digestible either, because they're a bad representation of, if they
Well,
want
I mean,
it
I
to
guess the
represent
rhetoric that
us,
they
it's a
spew
bad
out, but I would
representation.
say in terms of the term itself, I guess the acronym itself is more digestible, I think, on the internet, because I think people don't want to come to grips with the word slavery, even though they acknowledge that slavery happened. I think they want to kind of disassociate themselves with the word slavery in the title of, our lineage, I guess, in a way.
But
Everyone
to me
now
personally,
knows
if I wanted
FBA
to,
as
if I,
a go ahead, go ahead.
but just real quick, I want to interject. I think when it comes to reparations in particular, I don't think they're going to go by ADOS or FBA on the paperwork. They're just going to go by what we were during the time of the end of slavery or something like that. Anyway, I think the FBA just a overall thing to put on maybe like a different type of job application or something like that. I don't even think that they're going to use that for reparations in particular.
And
So
the thing about
why don't you
African,
think they're going to use ADOS on the for reparations, even though it's more accurate, I think, in my opinion.
it has to
Because
be used
well,
categorically. You have to go ahead.
but I personally believe that let's say Friedman would probably be more applicable in that sentiment because we were established as freedmen at some point during that time of post-slavery.
You know,
But
there's
what were
a
they? What
there's
were
a
they
certain
before they were free, though? That's the thing, is that you have to specify the harm first. And I mean, you can use whatever title you want to use. I mean, people have a right to do that. But I'm just saying that, like, you know, in order for them to be free, they would have had to been slaves first. So
Right,
I don't.
the reparations are a product of reconstruction that was never given to us. So because we had started establishing ourselves with the Freedmen's Bureau and all kind of different things that got totally dismantled, I think the goal is to probably reestablish what was destroyed then and go from there. Now, of course, ADOA, you can, however you want to do it, it needs to be done at the end of the day. I don't really have
But
a
I don't
problem
think
with either
FBA is
way.
going to be is going to be the actual acronym we need, because, like I said, it includes the word black, which means that it can be broad. That's a broad, very broad term to use, because that's based on skin color, not based off of lineage. So it's kind of trying to tie in lineage with race, which we know is not going to, like, go through any type of, you know, direction in terms of a political agenda. It's just
Hey man,
a term, huh?
I don't want to get caught up in the Yvette versus Tariq talking point. I really don't. So however it work, it's got to work.
Can I say
I'm not.
something? The United Nations said that it doesn't matter what the person's name is, as long as you've been through the atrocity, you are deserving of reparations. And they also say everybody on Earth has a right to a nationality, and we believe, based on Kwanzaa, self-determination, we have a right to self-determination. Was that in the 10-point program of the Black Panther Party? So we could determine whoever we are, just like everybody
Right.
else in the world. That's about it.
Whatever you name it, the lineage is the lineage. It's
Right,
going to work.
it doesn't matter what you talking about. Like they called us a million things, like what,
Color,
colored, all types of
Negro.
things. They done changed
But yeah,
more.
but
Look
why
at
do we have to have so many names for it, though? I don't understand why we have so many names
they
just to
give us
because
describe one
names.
group of people.
people keep coming out with names. That's why.
Right, they just keep
Because
calling us things.
I think,
Jesse Jackson.
in my opinion, when it comes to FBA, I feel like they're so stuck on delineation that they don't want to push it forward beyond delineation. I think
No,
that's really where it's stuck. It is stuck at that, because they don't have any agenda items on the
we
table. Like they scream out
listen.
tangibles or whatever, but then they don't have any agenda to get towards tangibles. And ADOS a lot of the times have to end up, you know, picking up the slack, because FBA is just kind of stuck at, like, antagonizing people who are not FBA or who are not, you know, of the lineage, and trying to do this whole litmus test. I'm like, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with trying to denigrate other people just because they don't come from the lineage, and having this kind of like ethnocentralism type of nonsense, or the main character syndrome. I don't agree with that direction of FBA. Now, I
Right.
do agree that we need to be precise about who we are, but it
Hey,
doesn't mean we have to denigrate other people to feel like we are somehow superior culturally,
okay.
just because we you know, use that word or something like that. Go ahead.
Mr. Dinah said,
That's why I asked the question.
why do Brazilians
Sorry.
are more pro African than Black Americans? Now we know for a fact that the whole Pan African movement started with Black Americans, and then Garvey came here with the UNIA in the early 19th century. Even to this day, it's only recently that we really kind of abandoned Pan-Africanism, solely because we just said, why are you so ethnocentric? Who was the one telling us we know Black Africans? They the ones who rejected Pan-Africanism. We just like, okay, we got to still get this job done. We still got to get reparations for what happened to our ancestors. And regardless if Africans want to help or not, we still got to do it. They just don't want to help. They the ones telling us they not Black, they whatever they are. So it is not really us. We just still moving forward with it.
Can I say one thing, brother? You know what? Us diners that been to Africa, they're totally different to the people that you see or hear about on the internet. Most of these people that you see on the internet talking shit down on FBAs, right? Or African Americans. These people been in America for more than 100 years. They've never been back to Africa. so why are you gonna listen to them, bro? Ignore them. It doesn't. You know, you got to follow the people that have been to the land, like Dynas, like, you know, Brandon, you know, like so on.
Right.
These people been in the ground. Listen to them. Ignore those people on the internet. You know, it don't make no sense
I have
because
some brief
yeah.
I have some brief history on Brazil's Back to Africa movement, which took place in the late 18th century through early 20th century, and the origins of destinations. The majority of returnees left from Salvador, Bohia, and settled in West Africa coastal cities, including Lagos, on the Porto Novo, Benin, Togo, and Accra, Ghana.
Correct.
I never knew about
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Of course, yeah. And Gabon, Gabon also is French, isn't it? I think they were the French Caribbeans. I think
A
Gabon,
lot.
and also you got Angola. There are a lot of countries where diasporas have came back to settle them. It's not a new thing, bro. It's a continuation, but the speed is not as fast, and also the expertise that we need in the continent to come in and help those brothers, get the job done and work together are not there. So and our leaders been stuck in all this socialist capitalism, and all this authoritarian. They never build any infrastructure, and how are people going to move to Africa? You don't have the basic roads,
Look,
right?
you
So,
say
so
Brazil went to Africa in the late 1800s. We went to Africa in the 1700s with Sierra Leone, way 100
no,
years
no,
before
no,
them.
no. Yeah, no,
That was
no, no.
like
I
the
know that. I know.
early
I
That
know
was
that. I'm
like
just saying.
1801, like right after the British
Yeah.
got beat by the
And
Americans. That happened like
right,
late,
right.
but
Yeah.
it's not a competition.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
I know that. I know that.
I also wanted to add something. I wanted to
Mhm.
add something to the fact that the FBAs are so self-centered on themselves. Because anyway,
Please
it's
don't
not
say
so
that about
beneficial to them.
FBAs. Please don't say that about FBAs. Please be respectful. FBAs are centered in their lineage, and as they should, because of what has happened, starting from the Obama
But
era.
sister, you didn't let me finish because I wanted. I'm going to say something that you're gonna enjoy, actually. Okay? Because I'm from the French part of Canada, and ice hockey is everything to them. They love hockey out here. Okay? And it is the foundational Black Americans who fled from the United States, because you guys keep saying that you never flee, right? So it's the foundational Black Americans who.
Please don't say that word, flee. I don't agree with those certain terms that have come up. Again, I believe that there needs to be some critique of some of the things that are being said. It should be monitored, but I don't like that word fleeing because it's more complex.
Okay, but what I was about to say is that it is the Black Americans who run from slavery, okay, and who moved to Canada.
Who wants to be a slave? Yeah, you're gonna move. Who wants to be?
Yeah,
Yeah, it probably was a few people. Yeah, like it was a few people who fled to Canada to escape slavery. I mean, yeah, you can make that argument, but that's not the majority of us.
So those Black Americans are the ones who invented ice hockey. All right.
Hold on, we have
keep
somebody
saying
new
it
on.
too.
We have somebody new on the panel. Let me pass it to Patrick Young, and let me read the super. Shout out to Wally. Thank you for $20. Holla. Go ahead, Patrick.
Oh, how you doing, bro? All the
Good. How are
brothers and
you?
sisters on the panel. Yeah, my name's Pat Young. And I'm from Georgia, right? Have a Gullah Geechee background. My family's been in the U.S. Came on ships from West Africa, 1732. Port of Savannah and also the Port of Charleston. My people were slaves, and my great grandfather was born a slave in Beaufort, South Carolina. My grandfather was born free, but in Sapelo Island, Georgia. So most of the people there, like myself, I did my DNA, and my DNA goes back to the area of Nigeria. I guess where Nigeria borders Benin
Yeah, that's
Republic.
gonna be Lagos. Well, it depends where in the Benin, but that's Yoruba. That's Yoruba. Yoruba, yeah. That would be considered old Oyo Empire, but this Yoruba.
Okay. And so do you guys know of Igbo landing?
Correct.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know about that. I don't even know if a lot of Nigerians and Africans even know about Igbo land.
Patrick, you got to come to Nigeria with me in August.
Maybe we can make that happen. If my money ain't funny, I wouldn't mind. It's something that's definitely on my bucket list.
Okay.
I'm married to a Jamaican, and we watch African movies, Nigerian movies, some Ghana, but mostly Nigeria. Some of the actresses and the actors like Destiny Etiko, Maurice Sam, people like that. So I've definitely been trying to learn a lot more. But one of the things I was thinking, Brother Dinas, I think that Gullah Geechee should delineate from FBA with this foolishness. What do you think?
You know, you have some Gullah Geechee talk about they're indigenous to America.
When you
Some
hear the
people
Gullah
say.
Geechee accent, right? The FBA is gonna be so ignorant, and be like, "Oh, you got an accent. You got an accent. You ain't FBA." That's so how ignorant it's getting.
A lot of the Gullah Geechee come from the Bahamas, I believe, too.
No, they come from Sierra Leone.
Not all of them.
Yeah, some of them do
Sierra
come from
Leone.
Bahamas.
Not from
Mostly
West
Sierra
Africa.
Leone.
The majority of them are from Sierra Leone.
I
And
believe
Dennis know
they
that.
migrated out of the Carolinas and Georgia to different parts of the Caribbean and Americas. Go ahead.
And
Dennis, did they have the Gullah Geechee festival in Sierra Leone still? I don't know. But they used to
mama's
have it.
parents, her mother, they're from coastal Carolina, and in all that area, James Brown, even Shannon Sharp. Shannon Sharp said he's 90% Nigerian. So everybody on that coastal Georgia, that coastal South Carolina area, we're pretty much proud of our descendancy from West Africa, and we don't see the majority of us. I can't speak for everybody. Maybe there might be a few who differ. But majority of us, we don't see ourselves telling our story without West Africa.
Yeah, genetically.
And
Genetically,
that's just it.
we're tied to that
Not only that,
region.
my grandfather was a black Seminole, so he was what you would call biracial because he was part Native American and part Gullah Geechee. So,
And
like I said, I've been one of the ones. I think I would call for Gullah Geechee to delineate for FBA with this. We just won't and will not tell our story without West Africa.
Yeah, that's cool too. But I think that it's a lot of nuance.
You can look at. We eat Gullah red rice, which is a takeoff jollof. So hey man, I don't know what's going on, but
speaking of which, speaking of which,
those I know, we're not telling our story without West Africa.
When we talk about jollof rice in particular, I remember Dinah said something about was it jambalaya? The basis is jollof.
Yeah, jollof rice. Yeah, jollof rice. It's jollof rice. Yeah.
Now keep in mind that
I think Patrick is Patrick finished.
Yeah.
Someone needs to mute though.
Right. But
someone needs to mute.
Somebody in the truck.
Oh.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like the jollof rice, the base of jollof rice is tomato, right?
Yes, tomato. Yeah.
Tomatoes come from the Americas, doesn't it?
I don't know, but jollof rice is originally from Senegal. This is Senegalese food. It comes from the Wolof tribe.
Right.
Senegal.
But when did they get tomatoes?
I don't know. Tomatoes have always been in Africa, you know?
I mean, probably during the transatlantic slave trade because trade was going back and forth.
That's what I'm. Just like the Americans got
West Africa. Remember, West Africa was the spice route. West Africa was the spice route.
Right, but the Americans got rice during the 1500s and all that stuff too. So it's all a part of the same trade.
Rubber trees.
Same thing about sweet potatoes.
All right, let me bring on. Go ahead, Vovo.
Same thing with rubber trees. Go ahead.
Meet yourself, Vovo.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as far as them taking down the segment, it really don't matter. At the end of the day, who knows why they took it down? But at the end of the day, the segment is out there. It makes it more infamous. It makes the conversation even bigger. So it really don't matter if they took it down or not.
Yeah, it's already in the ether. Once it's on the internet, it's always there. So
Thank you,
Well,
Bobo, for
let me
that.
say this one last thing. Let me say this one last thing. As far as being the FBA, I heard somebody said that Gullah Geechees want to delineate. Go for it. Anybody that want to delineate, go for it. That's what we on. Yeah, so if they want to delineate, go for it. But my thing is this, right? It's real easy. Can you trace your lineage back to the 1870 United States Census? That's what make you a foundational Black American. It's not rocket science, fellas.
So what if they're Black American, but they can't trace their genealogical records? Like,
Then they're
how do
not
they actually
foundational.
go about doing that? Because some Black Americans can't do that. Sometimes they might hit a brick wall when it comes to genealogical records.
Well, then they not foundational Black American. We got strict
How do you
rules.
know that? They might be. It's just that they might
How
not
do
have the
they know
paperwork.
that? They don't know. If we don't know, then you ain't. Yeah, you should easily be able to prove this. This isn't
You s-
anything that's hard.
you said y'all
It
got
might not be
rules.
that easy though for some
Why
Black
did why
Americans.
did ABC take
We'll sit
down
them
the
over there.
segment? Do you know?
Huh? What?
Why did ABC take down the segment? Do you know?
I just said it doesn't matter. No, it really don't. No, I don't know. For whatever, we can only speculate. ABC ain't saying nothing, so
Why might
everybody
they?
can speculate.
Why you think they took it down?
Why do I think? I don't know. I don't know. It really don't matter at the end of the day. Like, ain't nobody really watching ABC News anyway. They watching us.
It was a victory for a second, and now all of a sudden it doesn't matter. Okay.
Yeah, no, it was a victory, but now it's still a victory. It's still out there. I got that saved on my phone. So they
That's
took it
true.
down.
I ain't gonna lie. That is true. They took it down, but it's technically they already put it up and everyone copied it. So
Reparations is the only victory.
Now they make the conversation even bigger. There's more talk about why they took it down. Great. That's what we want. We need
Yo,
y'all help.
Bo,
We need all the haters. We need
yo,
y'all to do y'all
Bobo,
demonstration and shit. Because
But what
y'all
is
playing
FBA
yo,
doing
season.
Bobo.
politically though? Like FBA is just kind of stuck at delineation. Is not really doing anything
Yeah, we ain't
politically
doing
to move
nothing.
us
We
forward.
ain't doing nothing. If we was doing something, think I tell you,
Yo, Bobo, I have a question for you.
go for it.
So, do you consider the Black Americans who run to Canada? I'm not gonna use the word flee, right? They run to Canada during slavery, right? And now they're Canadian. Do you consider them family or they FBA?
No, they fled to Canada, so now they Nova Scotians.
they delineated. Is that
Yeah.
what happened?
Yeah, they delineated. Yeah.
Brother Bobo, may I push back a bit, please? Brother Bobo, Brother
But how
Bobo,
can they delineate from their
Yeah.
own people?
Brother Bobo,
Man, they fled, man. They ran. You said what happened?
Brother Bobo, may I push back a little bit on you, please?
Go ahead, sus. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And the reason why I say that because during back in the with the British what's that called, the American Civil War, many Black people were promised freedom if they worked with the British. Okay, so if you were families being subjugated, going through slavery at that time, and you were being promised freedom, America won. So therefore, they lost that promise. So the only
That's
option.
the American Revolution, not the Civil War.
American. Okay, I apologize. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I apologize.
Even
Thank you.
worse. Even worse. They fought on some people fought on the side of the Americans and
Hey,
them
let let let
they
let
were
her
still
let her
enslaved.
let her ask the question so we don't get distracted. And
I apologize for, and thank you for the historical correction team. Because of that, they had to run to Nova Scotia and Canada because of that reasoning. Again, when you're enslaved, again, you're not giving full information. You're not giving a bigger picture of your decision. So once that happens, you have to get out the area, or else you may have been killed. Again, I know this is bigger than this, but just for historical perspective, because the Black history here in America is so nuanced that we have to always look a little bit deeper at times. And that's all I'll say.
And I'll say this just to interject too, is that too many people are
What was
getting
the question,
caught up
though?
on the talking heads too much. And that's the reason why you got this tit for tat going on with oh, they're fleeing up to Canada. They just want to try to get on if somebody they know that who identifies with FBA, they want to say,
Let
hey,
me answer
we got
sister
some
real fast.
FBAs who fled. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, right, got you. Let me answer the sister real quick, right? There are several black groups that left from several black American groups that left that no longer are foundational black Americans. The Nova Scotians, the Liberians, the people in Damon, Israel right now. That's the most recent group, notable big group that left. Their grandchildren today that they had over there or don't consider themselves to be American. They consider themselves to be Israelis. Right now, I'm pretty sure Donis know about this, right? Y'all Pan African is right. I know y'all know about this, right?
But there's still a distinctions from different
Do
Israeli
anybody know
groups.
what I'm talking about?
No,
We
Not
know what you're
everybody
talking
I just
about.
get their name.
yeah, but
But will they still be of the same lineage though, even if they
Yeah,
even if they
yeah, you
sever
can't
ties with
change
each
your
other like over
lineage,
time?
but they're a different ethnic group. They went through an ethnogenesis in Israel. First you go through first you leave the land. Then after you leave the land, you start going through your ethnogenesis. Then after a while, you become a different ethnic group. Then after a while, after that, you become a whole new people. That's how ethnogenesis works. At this point, they're a whole new people.
But that happened
They don't
within this
care to.
century. That only happened like 20 years ago.
No, that
Okay, but
happened about 50, about
Okay.
50, 60 years ago.
yeah, it was like
And
it
they
was
still
50
come
some
back
year,
and
whatever
forth
it
to
is.
they come back to the
They
States. I know
don't
people
know.
from Demona. I know people from Demona.
Yeah, they
They
coming to
go back
visit,
to the
bro.
States all the
Yeah,
time.
they coming to visit. Man, they
But
don't
the
consider
con-
man, ain't got nobody from the mount. Man, all right,
Just say you don't
man.
care about them. Just say you don't care about them.
All right, I don't care
Hey,
about them
hey,
then.
I
I
have
don't
a I
care
have a
about them.
yeah, we
question
don't care
to
about
Yeah,
them.
this
I have
smoke
a
first, man. You
question.
gotta just get through this shit. Yeah, I don't care about them.
Hey, I
It's a
have a question
Yo,
coward's
to
Kofi.
Yeah.
some of the I have a question
Yo,
to some of
Ko-
the native African countrymen. Like the Ghanaian Empire and the Mali Empire. How many tribes were in those empires?
The amount of tribes that was there, it was the owner of the Ghana Empire was the Soninke, and then you had the Takro Kingdom, which was right next to it. That was the Fulani one,
No, but my
and but
question is
inside
within
it was mainly
within
in
the
that's the Ghana. Sorry,
yeah, but within the Ghana Empire, how many
yes.
tribes were there in the Ghana Empire?
I wouldn't be able to count them all, but I think it was the Fuller, the Soninke, the some of the the Manding people. Most of the Manding group that you see in West Africa today in the Senegambia region,
Okay.
and you see
So
in Guinea and Sierra Leone.
my follow-up
Yeah.
question is there was a king for the Mali Empire and all the empires, Ghana Empire, etc., right?
Yes, they were their kings. Yeah, and
So,
they're all rulers.
okay,
Yeah.
so they ruled over the tribes and the chiefs, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
If
So,
you're if
okay, so
yes
here
yes.
this is why I asked this question, right?
Okay.
Because
Okay.
everybody was on here was saying that there were warring factions and this chief and that chief didn't get along, so they contributed to the capture and the selling of those who lost. But it was in the kingdom, the king had to give the ability
In all
for that
in all
Oh,
respects,
warring,
sir.
right?
In all respects, sir. One second. In all respects, sir. The transatlantic slave trade have nothing to do with the Ghana Empire.
No, I'm not
They were two
asking.
different times.
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's the deal, right?
That was it. That was the trans-Sahara slave trade.
Hold
Sorry.
on, hold on.
Mm,
So the
mm.
question is, I'm only asking about empires because there's a king. Under the king, there are chiefs, and so they have to get their okay from the king. So
Yes, they
if
do. They
all
did.
right,
Yes.
therefore
Yes.
you can't necessarily say that this tribe was warring, so they weren't at fault for capturing and selling when the king himself over that empire was giving them the okay to then get rid of or sell those people into slavery.
Okay. After the downfall of the Songhai and the Mali, there was a lot of chaos in the region in West Africa, tribal wars. Okay, And someone mentioned about the Oyo and the Hausa Empire been fighting one another since the days of the end of the Songhai. Okay, they've been fighting one another, and also you have different local wars and tribal wars that went on, and the tribe, for example, the kingdom of Benin, if I'm not mistaken, the Yorubas were fighting them, and I think because they couldn't defeat the Yorubas, so they went seek help with the Portuguese, and that's how it started. So you can see there's already um, problems in the region in fighting for us to get into that situation in the first place. They did not decide to do this. They did not just get up and say, "Okay, we're just going to sell our people to white people for slavery." No, it
So, so,
didn't
so,
start off like that.
so the king didn't have any say as to what the tribal leaders were doing.
No, they did when there was how to call it, when there was calmness, when there was no wars. But
If
when
some of those
then
chiefs didn't get their quotas up, they would have been sold. That's the truth.
exactly, yeah, if there was wars, there was war,
They
like
had a
real
slave
war in the
quota to
far west.
fill. If they didn't fill that slave
Yeah,
quota, and one
yeah,
chief filled it more than them, then that chief that filled it more
yeah,
in them would send them into slavery. That's how it went.
yeah,
No.
yeah.
But I might listen. If there is a king, and then there are tribes within the kingdom, that king rules over the chiefs.
There was a time that did happen. I agree. There was a time during the Ghana Empire when the Soninke used to rule the Ghana Empire, and the people that you call the Tuaregs or the Berbers, when they first came into Africa, okay, they was trading with them. They came there through trade, okay. But the Fulani and the some of the Manding tribe, like majority of those you see in West Africa, they was under this king, this ruler. In fact, the Ghana Wagadu meant the warrior king, okay, and so basically, he was the one that used to sell salt because that area is a salt and gold trade market where Mauritania, Morocco, and all this area. We used to, our most people in Sierra Leone today to Guinea, that's where they came from, and northern Ghana. But, so on, as these people always trying to scam us, they start trading and then we start exchanging slaves. But the slave trade that went on between the Ghana Empire to the Middle East wasn't based on color. It was based on money transaction. Okay,
Well,
but however,
I
yeah.
always listen
Mm,
to some of the people from the African countries, and then it
thank
seems
you.
like
Yeah.
they're trying to make excuses as to why they are not responsible. Some tribes aren't responsible. This when you had a
Absolutely, absolutely. It should be,
empire with a king.
mm,
That's
mm.
like saying the president of the United States doesn't have control over the governor from Arkansas selling people to Mexico. I mean, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Do, during the trans-Sahara slavery, they might have had control, yes, and that was still horrible. But the transatlantic slavery, majority of it, they didn't have control of it because it was all turned into this. It was all anarchy, like war,
Is Dinah
tribal
still
war
there?
between groups,
Yeah, I'm
religious
still here.
wars.
I got to pass the mic. Go ahead, Africa. You got
Uh,
30 seconds. I got to pass the mic. You got 30 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, thank you, sir. Religious war, tribal wars, this is what was going on at that time. So I don't think the elders or the chiefs had any control, Dennis, and you probably know because you've been to the region. I hope I answered your question, sir.
All right, let me pass the mic to Ben. Go ahead, Ben.
Thanks. I don't know if Vovo's still around, so any FBA can answer the question if they can. So Vovo said that Black Americans that fled or ran to Canada or Liberia, Israel, and he said that they wouldn't be considered FBA because they broke off from the lineage and they went through an ethnogenesis to become their own ethnic group. So my question is, what about Black immigrants based on that rule that he explained? What about Black immigrants that come to the US, tether themselves to FBA culture, and after 3-4 generations, you can't tell the difference between them and FBAs. Do they go through an ethnogenesis and become an FBA? based on that rule that he explained about breaking off lineage and becoming another lineage, can you, I guess, graft yourself into a lineage? That's my question to Vovo, if he's still there, or any other.
Hey, I'll give it a try. I think what the definition goes back to is whether or not your ancestors were enslaved in the United States of America. And
Yeah,
so
but
if
he
you don't
said
have that enslaved, wait, if you don't have that enslaved,
the Hebrew Israelites, I mean, many of the founder of the Hebrew Israelites is technically FBA, Ben Amin, and so then he would be considered, FBA if we're based
does
off
his
of slavery.
lineage go back to, okay. Well, I mean, if his
No,
lineage,
I understand what you're saying, but I really wanted Vovo to answer, because he said that you can break off from a lineage and go through an ethnogenesis and become another group. And I'm thinking, Liberians, right? The Black Americans that went to Liberia, obviously they blended into the indigenous Africans in Liberia. And today you couldn't make a distinction between the Black Americans, the lineage of the Black Americans that descended into that country, and the indigenous people. So my question to him, I guess it's really for him to answer that question, is what happens to immigrants, Black immigrants that come to the U.S. and after 4 generations have been immersed in Black American population? Do they graft into the ethnicity of Black Americans based on what he explained?
Right. We got the question. I wish Bobo was here, but he's not. Let me pass it to Big Black. Go ahead, Big Black.
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, FBA is a cult. It's not a lineage. It was.
Please don't like calling other Black groups. I don't like that. Please don't do that.
I like it. Let me talk, please. Yes, FBA is a cult, not a lineage. This is actually a defeat for the FBA movement. And the reason this is defeat, because obviously ABC pulled the video because they did research on Tariq and the FBA code. As an African American, right, that have slavery on both sides, I don't like the term. I still call myself African American. But it's not going to get any traction, right? Because Tariq, what he has done, he has distanced himself from almost all of the Black politicians in Washington, D.C. So, he can't get any, movement there. So how is this, this term going to be an everyday term as far as you seeing it on that, when you apply for things, or, when you
What's the
select your
difference?
race?
What's the
Because
difference from being called Black American? I don't get it.
Well, here's the thing. FBA, first of all, if you look on the website, the distinction, Tariq, pretty much defines it as someone who has African lineage, someone who has Indian, right? So you got to be 1/3 African, 1/3 Indian, and 1/3 indigenous American, which is actually Indian. So you're 60% Indian.
Well, hold on. It says it on. Hey, do me a favor. Post a link to the site in the private chat.
Okay, I can go to
But go ahead.
Yeah, so the whole the site, how the site describes it, it's a false narrative, right? It's false. So when you do research, when people really do research and break down, what FBA really is, as Tariq describes it on the site, it's pseudo. It's a pseudo cult that's going around spreading xenophobia. If you look at Tariq videos, he's been spreading this xenophobia for 5 years. All of his videos, 95% of his videos is him talking about other Black people in the diaspora. Let's be real. Obviously Trump is not going to give reparations. He's been attacking the DNC. Actually, he's made the as far as like the reparations fight worse, because now he's introduced, 30% indigenous, and we're 30% Indian. You know, most of the black people in politics are not going to go for that. I think it's pretty much died off. ABC pretty much pulled the plug after they seen and did research about what the FBA code really is, and they pulled the plug. Thank you.
All right, let me pass the mic to Delroy. Go ahead, Delroy.
Everybody doing? It
Good.
the game is boring anyway. You don't want to watch it.
Yeah, I'm good. I watch college football. I'm really not an NFL football guy.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, this back and forth with FBA, African Caribbean is so getting old, boy. I am so tired of it. All right. America and Russia, China, Iran is right now deciding our fate. Okay. We don't know if we're going to be here tomorrow or next week. You see what I'm saying? And we're worrying about this bullshit. I accept the FBA if that's what they want to be called. I accept African American if that's what they're going to be called. Right? I accept Caribbean American, Afro Jamaican. You know why? Africans. You know why? Because none of it belonged to us. None of it. Africans. Africa is not African. Our ancestors didn't give that name. That name came from somewhere else, the Romans or whoever, right? So we're not even Africans either. You see? So we might as well just accept the goddamn name, whatever you want to be called, right? Then fine. It shouldn't be no back and forth and back and forth and back and forth because it makes no sense because we are none of them. We are none of them. You see what I'm saying? Our ancestors did not call us that, period. And that include Africa, Liberian, Nigerians, all made up bullshit. None of it belonged to us. The bullshit religions, Islam, Christianity, none of it. So I'll accept, if you want to be a Christian, I accept it because none of it belonged to us. Islam, none of it belonged to us.
I think we should be called Burkinabe. I think we should all be called Burkinabe.
Well, that's fine with me. I'll accept that too. You see what I'm saying?
Bolan.
That's fine. That's fine with me. Akibalan, Kush, whatever. These are some of our ancestors' name. But what I'm saying is, whatever you want to be called, whatever you want to be called. You see what I'm saying? That's what people should accept. Now, as far as a reparation, right? I remember in New York when I was in a certain organization, I can't call no name now. The African American minister that I was listening to at the time, right? He said he don't want no reparation. He want all of America because that's what really belonged to African Americans. You see what I'm saying? No one is going to give FBA or African Americans any reparation unless you have to take it. They're not going to give it to you. Forget it. The same thing we're going through it in the Caribbean right now in Jamaica, where I'm from. They're trying to get reparation from England. They're not going to give it to you, right? You have to take it. Take it. Get together with the other Caribbean people. Take their asset. You have to take it. They will not give it to you. Stop waiting for it. Stop hoping for it. You have to take it. Power is taken, is not given. Period. And that's what it's going to be. You see what I'm saying? That's all I'm going to say.
Delroy, I have a question for you.
Delroy, peace,
Yeah.
Delroy. Thank you.
Delroy, in what cases would they give us reparations? Like, what would we have to do for it?
None.
Why
You have to
are they
take
giving? Why are they giving Jews reparations?
That's them. They're white. Their Jews are white. That's them. You see what I'm saying? That's them.
My theory is reparations
no
were given
theory
to take over another nation and to further
let me ask you something. If I took $100 from you, right? And you're trying to get it back, but I refuse to give you back. What are you gonna do to get that $100 back?
I'm out to fight.
Right.
Sign a petition.
Therefore, they only give it to the Jews to
right? Pillage Palestine. And if they give it to us, then we have to do something in return.
Don't forget, the Jews, the Jews are that's just bullshit made up, right? Israel is made up. We created Israel. American England created Israel. Israel could have been in the Congo. It could have been in Uganda. It could have been in Guyana. You see what I'm saying? These are the places that they research, right, to put them. You see what I'm saying? It could have been in, and they said nah, they want to go back because of some biblical bullshit. You see what I'm
Can I
saying?
add something? Can I add something to what you're
is
saying?
money laundering. Go ahead.
Yeah, so to add to what Delroy is saying, Kofio, I don't know if you heard about the ex-president, one of the ex-presidents of Haiti. His name is Aristide Jean Bertrand.
Yes, I
So this guy so he was in power and everything was going fine. And as soon as he mentioned the reparation for the Haitian people from France, as soon as he mentioned it, then what happens is that they made up a story. Exactly. They made up a story. They made him look like a dictator. They lied on him. And then they went by force and took him out of the palace, out of the presidential palace in Haiti.
And brought him to South Africa.
Right. So you know the story.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know they did it because of that. That's crazy.
Yeah, may I ask a question, please? May I ask a question, please? Just to piggyback off what Mr. Bakinabu and Mr. Delroy was saying. This is the question. The reason why I respect the FBA. As soon as we start asking for money, that's when we called all sorts of names. We looked a certain way.
Right.
Interestingly, we all have differences within the Black diaspora. Fine. If you want to be referred like Brother Joe, whoever, how you want to identify yourself, I respect it. I respect you and how we want to move forward. That's it. My eyes is on the prize, and that's the tangibles, and that's the money. So you know what? I respect Tyree because people call on that show.
Exactly.
They ask questions, they talk silly, and he kills it. At first, I thought it was funny, but you guys are giving him content. You calling the show, giving him content. So why call his show? And then now you want to turn back and say he's xenophobic. Yeah, he'll be xenophobic because you call on the show and acting crazy. If I wish I had money, because I will call Tariq out. Have a medium form. I'll pay him his money because he's a money man. That's what he is. I'll give him that. And we have a real discussion. Nobody has really challenged Tariq to a real discussion. You like to call his show and talk silly.
You know what? I'll say this. I know people don't respect him. Tariq debated Tucker Carlson, and Tucker Carlson gave it to him. Pause.
Tucker, when he said sucker, that was, come on, man. He won that when he said that.
Can I say
Don't be a sucker, Tucker.
Can I say something to the sister? I don't know your age, but I came to the U.S. in 1971, and what I noticed is that this xenophobia that people are.
Don't call it. I think we, as Black people, have an intercultural dynamic that's happening, and we're using European terms to define our experience right now. And I wish we could have like a dictionary for our condition. This is particularly our condition.
Okay, you know what I noticed, right? What I noticed is the Caribbeans and the African Americans tend to get on a bit more when it comes to culture. Okay, for the Africans who came from.
I've seen when Jamaicans and Black Americans get into it, though. They be acting real good.
Let me just finish this statement. Yeah. Let me just finish this statement. So in the 1970s, right, when Caribbean and African immigrants, Black immigrants were coming to the U.S., we faced the same situation. This is nothing new. It's like it's cyclical. And back then, and even with the reparation, that's not new. That's not a new concept. Before the reparations, you had the 40 acres and a mule. There was a movement where you would hear Black Americans, they would petition for 40, grievance of 40 acres and a mule. So it's changed from 40 acres and a mule to reparations, and the xenophobia, right? And I'm just using this term so that we could just have some understanding. It's not new. It's cyclical. Maybe it's new for people that, younger generations that they don't know. But People that are 50 and up, we know that we went through these.
You're from the Caribbean?
Yes, I am.
What country?
Okay.
I'm from Haiti.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, xenophobia
based
means
on my
to systematically
yeah,
stop someone from getting benefits within the country they migrated to, and that has never
right.
happened in the
Nah,
United States by Black Americans.
the most xenophobic country that we have in the black world is South Africa. Let's just make that real, okay? And I
They go into
understand what.
hospitals and take people out.
Yeah, thank you. That's not in America. So I don't know why
But
Africans are
that's by
actually.
design, though. That's by design. We
Yeah,
know what
yeah,
they went
I
through.
agree.
You see what I'm saying?
And
We know what
also,
they went through.
yeah, and also, Delroy, in the UK, you know for a fact. I don't know if you have connection to the UK by any
I
chance,
do. I have
but
family there.
the British government, I think it's only till 2005, they stopped paying the slave masters for freeing their slaves. So they
Yes,
was
yes.
paying this. Okay, they was paying the slave masters. This is how people got free.
Even here in America, the corporations
Yeah,
they were still getting paid, insurance companies and stuff like that.
yeah.
Oh yeah, because
So
it's a loss. You
yeah,
see what I'm saying? So that's why I can't go back and forth with this bullshit, bro. Because I know who the enemy is. I understand who the enemy is. You know, when I first came here, right? Maybe a couple years after, I was like 12 or 13. I went to Florida with my parents, and this white woman told me. I went to a store to buy a bottle of soda. I was 13. This white woman told me, and I didn't understand it then. I didn't know nothing about that. I like Tarzan and Batman. She said, "Oh, I just like you people. You talk so nice. The ones them that's here, I forgot what she said exactly, but something negative. I couldn't understand what the hell she was saying. I was just smiling. I don't know what she's saying. It's when I got older. You see what I'm saying? I think back and I said, "Oh shit!" So this is what she meant by that. Divide and conquer. All this shit is designed, bro. That's why we can't worry about this as black people. I'm telling you, we cannot worry about it. Like I said before earlier,
True.
Russia, China, America, Iran, Ukraine, all of them is deciding our fate right now as we fucking
so
speak.
so what do you
You see what I'm
think
saying?
about So what do you think about Nigeria allowing the US? That is a big problem because Nigeria is the highest black population. In
It's
fact, Nigeria is and Ghana.
Same shit, same product of the design, bro. Same shit. They went into Nigeria, not for Nigeria. They went in there for the AES. You see, it's a simple ABC.
Fact, I agree. I agree with what you said.
Ain't nothing to figure out. Just like when they sanctioned Zimbabwe in the 1990s, when Zimbabwe started taking back their land, they didn't sanction Zimbabwe for Zimbabwe. They sanctioned Zimbabwe for South Africa and Namibia. That's who they sanctioned them for. Right? You see what I'm saying? Now we're going to kill it now, so these other people don't get no idea, and it worked perfectly because you have South Africans now. They on Zimbabwe. Oh, look at your country. Oh, you ran away to our country because you did this. Mugabe did this, and so forth and so on. Design, perfect design. You got to give these white people some credit, boy. They are clever as hell. Right? They might not be intelligent, right? But they are clever as hell. And you got to give it to them. They do not give up. They don't stop. And they're like the goddamn Terminator. Until you stop them, they don't stop. They just keep coming and coming and coming. You move left, they move right. You move in, they move out until they accomplish their goal. And black people have to have the same tenacity. You see what I'm saying? And that's what the AES represent. They represent the same tenacity. No, you're gonna have to kill me. That's the AES. That's why I love those people so much. That's them. You see what I'm saying? People back and forth. You see? And that's what it is. It cannot be no other way. It's black and white. You see what I'm saying? It's black and white. And I'm gonna say one
Hey,
last thing.
guys, let me pass the mic to Ben. Go ahead, Ben. Ben
Greetings, fam.
Gonzo. Yeah, go ahead.
Greetings, fam. Greetings. I wanted to add a few things that, as it pertains to Dimona, because I was a part of that community. There was a time when they reneged their U.S. citizenship, and eventually they claim it back. And if I'm correct, even the school that was they have political liaison to the United States Congress, and they were able to establish the school that they established. They got funding from I think Congress or something in relation. But I do believe they still benefit from some kind of benefit as it pertains to America. You know, so they haven't severed everything in terms of American citizenship. I think they have dual citizenship. You understand? Secondly, somebody mentioned something about Jews and reparation, but I didn't hear anybody mention the fact that it has been documented by the Nation of Islam and other sources that they played a essential role in financing the transatlantic slave trade, and
They were the key.
also exactly
Who the Dutch,
the
you
Dutch
mean?
West Indian Shipping
The
Company.
Zionist elites.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Their monarchy.
So the thing is that we know that economically, politically, they pull the strings in America. You see what I'm saying? At the same time, I do know they study us. These people are studying us extensively. They're listening to this transmission that we're doing right now. And as the brother said, they're always plotting and coming up with ways and means to divide and rule and try to outdo us. So for me, when I look, man, it really grieved. I think for me, when I check my lineage, I was born in Jamaica. I'm Jamaican, but when I talk to my elders, what they told me is that they were sent here from South Carolina, Simit family from South Carolina to Jamaica, etc., etc. When I check the archive, I
Yes.
think there is some truth to that. You know what I'm saying? They were Black Americans that were sent to Jamaica. I mean, by not on their own accord, but by the colonizers to squash slave rebellion. I think
Not only
something
Jamaica,
similar. Something,
Barbados, and Bahamas, all over.
and Trinidad, and there were some who went to
Yeah.
Trinidad. So when I listen all of this, there's only one. It really brings tears to my eyes, because what I look at is this: no matter who we are, whether we Fulani, whether we Somali, Bantu, whatever, I see one gene pool. We may have subclades and variants in the gene pool. We might have cases where they come in and they inbred in us and divide us. You know what I'm saying? But we have to now really stop and look. Like, listen, they are just like how the brother mentioned, America now getting into Nigeria, and we know what the end game is. They are plotting on the AES, as Ibrahim Traore already tell us. Black winter is coming. They know that they are doing this. We have to then stop and be like, listen, man, we cannot continue to be divided and conquered and fight amongst each other anymore. For me, all these titles are divisive. They're divisive, and we only dividing ourselves more for us to be controlled by them. You see what I'm saying? When you look at China, China wasn't one unified country. Not at all. But now when you see, despite, they have internal issues, you see a one China policy. When a Chinese come to Jamaica, they are on national, just like a footballer, or they're on national duty. They're representing the interests of the Chinese Communist Party. Yeah, and now China is a world power. If we have to think along that line, we have to think along that line. Despite the fact that some of us are African American, some of us are Afro Jamaicans, we have to come together and learn to reconcile, learn to forgive, learn to correct the errors, and reconcile and become a formidable force in this world. If we don't do that, We done. Straight up.
Yep.
That's what Delroy
Exactly.
was saying. We done. Because let me tell you this, and I'm going to say this and shut up. You got to understand genetics. There is something in the Euro-Asian genetics that encourage them to become maladaptive, compulsive, expansionary, and to want to dominate and control any and everybody by any means necessary. Now, if that's the nature of our chief adversary, we got to be above that. We have to meet them step for step and outdo them.
As simple as that.
They
Simple
do it at
as
the
that.
risk of their own populations. They destroy their own populations to rule.
They have no problem with that, bro. They will kill their mama.
No, yeah. The reality is, we know the tribes that fought these wars back in the days are at war. Okay, and this is exactly what they're doing. And someone mentioned, you see, like Delroy, you was mentioning the Sahel. There's a lot of atrocities that be going on in the Sahel way before the jihadists. The where you call Niger, where you call and slavery for that matter, where you call Niger today, okay, Niger Republic and Chad at the border. There's been a lot of reports, people flying out, captured Africans from that region because of their genetic to all over the world for organ transplant.
Yes,
Okay?
yes, I know
Remember the
about that.
plane in
Yes.
Chad?
Okay.
Remember the
Yes,
plane in Chad? Remember the president of
Yes. Let
Chad?
me.
They
Yeah.
stopped the plane from
Yes.
taking off, and then
If
it
you look
was
at
young
exactly.
babies.
Yes. If you look at the gene pool, okay, the DNA of the northern Nigeria all the way to Europe and Asia, it's the same thing, okay? Like someone was saying the other day, someone brought up some genetic B1, this and that. I was just laughing at the back because I was driving from London. The reason why the Fulani got that B whatever is because they mixed with the Hausa, who are Afro-Asiatic, and the Kanuris in that region, okay? And we are originally Niger Congo people from the far west in Senegal. We've been mixed with these people. They came in, they destroyed the Ghana Empire, they destroyed the Takru, and they took over, and then they mixed with us, okay? And after, we have the religion, we have this coexistence, we have peace treaties, our kings and them, we always negotiate, and then give it few centuries coming, bam. So us, the Fulani, Bambara, and the Manding people, we always been in the line of their advancement. Okay, this is what's going on in Mali. You guys don't know it, but like if your tribe is in that region of the Sahel where the war is happening, you're gonna be the most victimized. You're gonna have more of those people in their groups, okay, because they would take you all out, and if they take the young guns with them to go and fight.
This is what the AES is trying to correct. This is what
They're
they're
trying to correct it. Yes.
But
Look at Northern.
they're gonna have a
Right. Sorry,
hard
let me
time
just
trying to
plunge.
do it, but they have to
Yeah,
be done.
yeah. It's funny. America is in Nigeria now, but yesterday or before yesterday, they went into Boko Haram. People saying Fulani this and that. I understand that some of them. Okay, Boko Haram went all the way down to Kwara State and massacre in a town called Wuro. That's a Fulani and Yoruba town. Do you know why they got killed? Because they sent them a letter saying, Boko Haram said, we're going to come and preach the type of Islam that we want you to follow. Okay. Then the villagers, the Fulani and the Yoruba said, no, they resisted. They said, no, we okay. We follow the Islam that we know, that our ancestors gave us. By the time they rang the security Nigerian police, explained to them. By the time they came in and killed 170 people. Right? The Nigerian president was in one of the northern governors, the Fulani governor's daughter's wedding on that day instead of going to visit the dead people. This is how we're messed up, man. And
I think we
these
should
people, yeah,
Well,
this
America
is
have full control of them. America have full control of terrorists, bro. America and
something is
France
going
control
on.
them.
Something is cooking, and these terrorists are yeah.
But Al, they had villagers for years saying they've seen with their own eyes helicopters coming in, planes coming in, turn off their transponders, land, bring equipment, money, and take out goods. You see what I'm saying? And bring them arms and money. The villagers see that with their own eyes. They know the Nigerian government know what's going on. But listen, the Nigerian government was planted there for a reason. You see what I'm
And
saying?
remember, it is alleged
Two
that
countries. Sorry,
Tinubu,
two countries in the north. My bad. two countries. Sorry, you can come quick. Two countries in the north are giving us most of this problem: Libya and Algeria. Okay, and they are giving us because the Lakurawa and ISWAP. There are a lot of reports saying they're linked to that part of the region, and that's and the
The,
obviously Boko Haram. We know Boko Haram is yeah. Go on.
but Al, you have to understand, bro. You said
Right.
Libya and Niger. You said Libya and Nigeria, but that's not the overall correct facts. It's America and France.
No, of
You see
course,
what I'm
but they're
saying?
using them as they're using them
Yeah.
as a
What
proxy because
the
they're all they are
the
long time
bottom line
enemies.
is the
Remember?
America and France. You have to. They always have to be top of the equation. You see what I'm saying? It's them. Those two especially. They have others. They have others. You see what I'm saying? They
Delroy,
have other Europe. They have
Delroy,
other
Yeah.
Europeans, but
So,
it's
so
those two
the so,
especially.
is that Delroy
yeah.
talking?
Someone was saying about Tinubu. Yeah, go on. I interrupted him. Go on.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let me ask this question now because it gets a little bit more complex. Is it true that French troops have now been deployed into Ghana?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes, I heard
something
about
wrong
it.
with
I
our
heard
people,
about
man.
it.
Something wrong
Yes.
with this race,
They're
man. I
there.
don't know,
They're
man.
there to train. They
There's
say
nothing
they're
wrong,
there to
man.
train. They're there to train. Like park rangers. That's what they said. You see what I'm saying? So,
Ghana's cooperating.
you see? But of course, well, there's a base. There's a military base in Ghana. The American soldiers could go into Ghana airport, right, and don't check ID. You understand what I'm saying? They could do
Yep.
anything in Ghana. They don't care if they kill anybody in Ghana. In Ghana, Ghanaian citizen, they can't do nothing to them. You see what I'm saying? They can't do nothing to them. America just went to Mali and tell the Malians them, oh, you have to get rid of Russia and then we'll help you. That's what they said. The one thing I would blame the AES for. This is what I blame the AES for. Meet America and Europe as the AES. You see what I'm saying? Don't meet them as
Right, right,
Mali, Niger,
right.
or Burkina Faso. Meet
I
them
agree.
as the AES. You see what I'm
I
saying?
agree.
Russia is already embedded with all three of them. You see what I'm saying? They're already embedded with them. They're in their security and whatnot. They already embedded with them. So Russia got their shit
It's
straightened
true.
out. You see what I'm saying? But the AES have to meet them. Do not separate. You come in to meet them in as the AES and meet them in whatever country you want to meet them in. You see what I'm saying? But go together as the AES. That's the only mistake they're making. Don't make any separate deal at all.
So what was Mali replied to them?
Yep.
What was Mali replied to them when they make that proposition?
Michelle,
You know the answer to that
hold
already,
on,
brother.
one second. Michelle had a question. Go ahead, Michelle.
If I may, Brother Darrell and Brother Ben Tazak, these issues for us here in America, to the average person, like maybe I'm assuming some of our brothers who you hear, they're not interested in these issues. It's far away from them. They're disconnected. They don't understand, like you said, America, Russia, and China. They're disconnected to those issues as opposed to a diasporan who may be a little bit more aware or have their ears open because it does affect them because of their connections. So how do we talk to our family here in America so they understand these issues and how it affects us here? Brother Darrell and Brother Ben, you guys are making excellent points. But if you talk to us here in America, it's like beyond us. Okay, we're worried about, I got to pay my light bill. I got to take my baby daddy to court. So
that's the average. That's the average American. Yeah, that's the average American, white, black, or whatever.
Okay, but in particularly our diasporan group, I'm talking about us as the black diaspora.
But there's no excuse because we have access to the internet. We have YouTube. If you want to be,
you missing the point.
If you want, like right now, you're talking for me, right? And I believe that's untrue. But if I was to say, like, yeah, most of my family members don't go into this stuff, it's because they're just not interested. They don't really have a purpose. Now, if I move to Ghana, right, I'm going to look into what Delray said about the French troops and what's going on there. because I move internationally. It's just it depends who you are.
Yeah, but the African Americans, them that because I have a lot of African American friends.
With us, with the
No,
movement. See, all this, what I'm trying to say, all this interplay with each other. All this.
you're 100%. You're 100% correct. You're 100% correct. But the African Americans, them that is aware and are directly involved, like that elderly brother in, I think it's St. Louis, and his group is banned. He already been to jail several times because they said, right, the FBI said he's associated with Russia,
Communist Russia. That's
with
right.
communists. You see what I'm saying? So the CIA, the FBI, they know what groups are involved. They know, but everything, it has to be put in the open. You can't hide and say it or do it. You have to be in the open. You have to talk about it in the open. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna tell you why. Because right now on Dinah's platform, I guarantee you they are tapped in. You see what I'm saying? You can't hide it. You
Definitely.
see what I'm saying? I guarantee you they are tapped. As small as Dinah's platform is, I guarantee they are tapped in. You understand what I'm saying? Because they're not worrying about who is shooting up who and stuff like that. They are afraid of people that sound like us. You see what I'm saying? Whoever's killing whoever, that's nothing. You see? And that's the thing. And like I said, they will not stop until they win. So you have to have the same mindset. Do not stop until you win. It's as simple as that. There's no in between anything. That's why I can't bother with this back and forth. FBA, African American, Africans, Caribbeans, Nigerians. You have them fools. You have the Igbos, who I'm descended from. Against the Hausa and the Yoruba and the North and South. The Christians against Muslim and all that bullshit, bro. This is
That's
perfect for
it.
what they
That's a
want.
ploy,
You see what I'm
bro.
saying?
That's what they've
You
been
see?
cooking. Like what and they're right. If you look at the Biafra war, right, which is actually really like traumatizing to actually, look at. You can tell that it's something behind it, bro. This is not gonna happen where two brothers and start just warring one another. Obviously we know it stemmed from somewhere where the Igbos were dominating the military. They took power, killed the northern leader. They only killed Yoruba and Fulani. Then the Fulani and the Yoruba retaliated. Okay, which obviously turned out to be like this. But there's always something cooking before you get to that point, which is actually really sad. Which is sad, really, when you think about it. Because the amount of
Right.
people that lost their life,
But
and up
Al,
till
right?
now, up till now, there were one second. Up till now, there is not one single commemoration in the whole Nigeria of that war to say, look,
Exactly.
let's
Exactly.
there's so
It's
many
pushed
there's
under
so
the
many
rug.
This
people
is
being
why I
killed.
say.
Yeah,
This is
there's
why I
so many
say.
people
I
being
said.
killed. Let's make let me just finish. There's so many people that died in that war. Let's just do something to bring everyone together. So
No,
what? Right,
they
this
they
is
push under the
wrong. What
carpet.
happened?
Like the military.
Exactly.
Don't forget, the military killed history in Nigeria. It's matter of fact, it's Tinubu that introduced back history in school. You see what I'm saying? They kill history
Yeah, for a
in
reason.
school,
For a
and
reason. And
they did it for a reason.
This
You
yeah,
is
see?
why
and
So
and the
I
reality
I
you
when
see?
people saying America is going to invade Nigeria like attacking them, it's not going to happen because I know for a fact they're not going to do it because Nigeria is part of the Commonwealth. Okay, everybody. I don't know if people know that, but and also it's that is a very difficult. Just like Canada, it's very it's
Well,
you
America,
invade in the
they
British.
say they didn't say officially they invading Nigeria
Mm,
because of that. They
mm,
saying they going there because
mm.
Islamists,
But
who they
yes,
control, are killing Christian.
yes,
That's the
yeah.
excuse. Excuse
and
me.
that's
But
only a
you
ploy.
have to look
They,
That's
at
only a ploy. That's pure
yeah,
deception.
exactly, exactly.
Hey,
yeah.
So
That's no, that's
you see,
true.
guys, let me pass it to Miss
Yeah,
Ivy. Go,
I,
go
I,
ahead,
I
go
hear
ahead, Miss
you.
Ivy.
let
Go ahead,
somebody
Miss
speak.
Ivy. Go ahead, Miss Ivy. Unmute yourself, Miss Ivy.
Hey, how are you, Dinus?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I just want to say that, I'm listening to the show. I went to the Foundational Black American website. I also went to the American Descendant of Slave Advocacy Foundation website and read through it. And when you're just reading through the website, I don't really see anything dangerous or negative. Like people are saying that on the website, it states that you have to be Black or African, Native American, European. It doesn't say that. I read through the entire website, both of them. It doesn't say that. So I'm just a little confused. I think that people naturally group up in ethnic groups, just like on the African continent, they have ethnic groups. And people usually identify with being Yoruba or, Igbo before Nigerian. And why is it a problem for other Black people to group themselves in ethnic groups? I just wanted to ask you that, Dinus.
I have an answer for you.
Well, go ahead, don't worry.
I want to ask Dinus. I
Oh,
came here to.
go ahead, Ms. Ivy. Why do they group themselves as ethnic groups?
I'm asking you, what is wrong with people grouping themselves into ethnic groups? It's something that people naturally do.
Miss Ivy, I have no issue with the FBA ADOS delineation. I have no issue with it. It's just
Me too.
It's just the revision of history is
Okay.
problematic.
Now I want to hit on that. Now my family, they are from Louisiana, and my family is also originally from Virginia, South Carolina, and North Carolina, the Gullah Geechee corridor. Now, within those subcultures of Black American culture, we acknowledge that we're African. In the Louisiana Creole flag, there's symbols for Senegal and Mali, which is in the Louisiana Creole flag. And you can look that up, just Google it. In one corner, there's the flag of Mali. In the other corner, there is the flag of Senegal, because a lot of people who were brought into that territory were brought from those parts of Africa. So Gullah Geechee people who were Black Americans or foundational or ADOS or whatever, we do not deny that we are of African ancestry. Now, this little subgroup of people who want to deny it, I don't get it. I've had my DNA done, and I am African, and I am European, and I am Native American. You can look at my family, it's obvious. In my family, I will be considered dark skinned. So I'm just saying, a lot of Black Americans, we are triracial due to the transatlantic slave trade. Also, the 5 civilized tribes also own slaves. So some of us are actually owned by Native American tribes in slavery.
Do you think that radical subgroup might have been infiltrated and then just right, just like the fake Black Panther guys said, "Oh, we're gonna start shooting pigs." I feel like it's the same type of energy.
I think that all groups within the United States, because I have that, all groups within the United States, Black, white, or in between, are monitored by the government. That is just a fact. We know this historically. So it just is what it is. I will never understand people who want to deny their African ancestry. It's usually some of the darker skinned Blacks, usually always them. They want to say they're Native American. So I have noticed that. Now, you can come from a family like mine that most other people are a mixture of my complexion to Steph Curry. We know we're African. So it's very strange to me that even in our oral history, we always say we descend from the old Africans who were brought over here in the ships in slavery. That's always been a part of my oral history, that we are African.
But sister, the only thing I could that's why I'm just Black, period, and I'm African because that's the name we adapted, or it was given to us and we adapted it. You see what I'm saying?
If I was to give her a race,
you see,
if I was to call Ivy and Diners, they both have the Manding blood, which is obviously the Senegambian Mali region. So
But
she
can I
therefore
tell
what they
you,
call it
I
a
am
Niger
that
Congo woman.
I got that,
Yeah.
but my top two
Yeah.
that happen to be
Yeah.
Nigerian. Right behind that is Benin and Togo, the Dahomey people.
Okay.
So those are my
Right.
top,
Okay.
because the bulk of the
Okay.
slaves we know came from those
You from
regions.
there, came from there.
It just
Exactly.
is what it is.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
listen,
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
and all this, we're not slaves. Now, my people are registered in the Freedmen Bureau. So I know for a fact that my people were slaves. So all of this, you know, even when you go to these websites now, the ADOS website is very plain and they've never denied that we come from slavery and Africans. But even if you go to Tariq's website, it talks about slavery. So that is the part that is confusing me. It is clearly, it talks about the slave trade. It talks about slavery. It talks about who's classified as foundational Black American. You have to have one parent who descends from the slave system in the United States. And it always says either 1870 or 1900. If your family was here, you know,
But,
and the first Blacks or Africans who were brought here to what is the United States is to the Gullah Geechee region. The Spanish brought the first Africans in this region in 1526. That is a fact.
well, no,
1526
yes
by
and
the
no.
Spaniard. Listen, the Spaniards brought the first. Just look this up. This is
No,
Spanish history.
no, I don't
It
really
is,
have to look anything up
well,
because
it's the fact. They
the
came
one
here as
no
slaves in
no
1526.
ma'am
Okay,
ma'am let
so
me
that
let me
you
let
cannot
me just
tell me
say
about my people, the Gullah Geechee people in the
well let me
Carolinas and in Georgia.
yeah
It's well documented.
this is the part that
Yes.
we don't talk about. This is the part we
What
don't talk about, and I'll give it
what
to the FBA a little tiny bit. You see what I'm saying? Africans was coming here before any Spaniard or any
I'm
white man
not
touched his
listen.
land.
First of
But I'm
all,
just
Okay, just
saying
let him
that
I'm not
respond,
don't,
talking
Mr.
about
Sister. Just let him
explorers. So you're
respond. Just
telling me
let him
something that I already
respond.
know. I said
right.
Sister,
slaves.
So
I
I
you
did
but
not
I
you
say
said
interrupt you
African
too, sister.
explorers.
Just let
yeah,
him
but
respond.
you said 100%.
I'm
We were
talking
brought
about
here.
I'm
I'm just
talking about the transatlantic slave trade. I'm not
yeah,
talking about
but
African
black
explorers
people
who were here
did get
thousands of years ago. I'm not
but
talking
black people
about them.
well exactly, but don't well then now you correct yourself.
I
You
am
know what I'm saying?
because
You said the
I said
first
that were
black
brought
people.
here by the Europeans. Those Africans who came here, they were not brought here. They came, they were explorers. They came on their
Right.
own.
And they
I'm
got
talking about
mixed
slaves.
and they got mixed in with the indigenous people
That
here.
is true.
So
But
I'm
what
just
I'm not talking
right.
about
So
that
that's all
group.
I'm saying. That's
Yes,
all
I'm
I'm
not
saying.
talking about that group. And
Okay.
you are
Okay. Let me
correct.
straighten that up.
And that is and that's proven by science.
Right.
That is a
Exactly.
fact. But I'm talking about right now the slave trade. And the first slaves came into the Americas, not free Africans. In
Okay.
1526, that was the first wave. The second big wave in 1619. I'm only talking about descendants of slaves. And I'm saying I do not understand the denying of the
Or
slave trade.
the
I'm not.
descendant of the people that was enslaved, not slaved, enslaved.
That's what I'm saying. I have a problem
Oh.
with people trying to deny the transatlantic slave trade. I have an issue with that
I feel
because
like
they're
the denying
denying.
comes from
Miss Ivy, may I ask
right,
you a question, please?
Yes,
like
ma'am.
they don't want to be defeated. Go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Ivy, for sharing your perspective and also coming on and sharing that you read both mission statements and shared your summary of them. But my question and my concern as a Black diaspora, how can we best move forward, Ms. Ivy? Because I'm in disagreement of them taking down the segment on FBA because it did not say anything about hate. It did not say anything about
It did
hurting
not.
anybody. It did discuss about foundational Black Americans' contributions to America.
Correct. And and I believe we spoke in the past. I think your family's from the Caribbean, correct?
My parents are from Ghana, West Africa, but I
Okay,
grew
I'm
up
sorry.
there.
Okay.
But I understand because I work in social service, so I
Okay.
understand the differences between Caribbean, African, and their experiences
Correct.
here in
And I
America.
too, that is my profession and that is my career also. And so this is my personal opinion, and I hate to say it. The Black American, the so-called freeman, my daughter told me she's Solon. I said, Solon? This is a new group. The young people are calling themselves Solon. Some new group that's even another offshoot of FBA and ADOS. I personally believe that Black Americans who
But
descend
what
from
does Solon mean?
Yeah,
Google
what is
it.
that?
I don't even know. They're saying it in the hip hop rap songs. It's similar to a ADOS, a
Can you spell
Freedman.
that? Can you spell that?
I think it's SOULAAN. Look that up, Dynas. But this is my daughter told me. She
Yeah, I
said, I'm
heard it.
Solon. I said, my God, here's
I
Oh,
heard
another.
it a couple of
This is some
times.
type of
it
confusion
means hold
campaign.
on,
What the
I
hell
don't
is
know
a
if this is some type
Solon?
of
well,
government
one
thing.
mic,
I don't know what's
hold on,
going on.
Miss Ivy. It means
But
refers to soul
I
people or
personally
soul
feel
American.
that as
Miss
a
Miss
Black
Miss
American
Miss Ivy,
who
slow down.
descends from the
Miss
slave
Ivy,
trade and
can you hear me? Can
enslavement,
you hear me? Can you
I
hear me,
really
Miss
feel
Ivy?
that we
Can you hear
need to
me?
get
Hello,
ourselves
hello,
together.
hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
We are truly
I don't
colonized
think
in
she
our
could hear you, Dinus.
minds. Um,
I don't think
we
she
need
could
to
hear
learn how
you.
to cooperate with each other, and we really need to get
I
ourselves
am hearing
together.
Dinus,
And I'm
but
not
she's
talking
not
about
hearing
the
us.
elite Blacks or
Yeah,
the
she's not
educated
hearing you.
Blacks. I'm
She's
not
not
talking
hearing you.
about my friends that go to Sag Harbor and go to the Bluffs in July and
Sister,
August. I'm
can you
not
hear
talking
us?
about that bunch, but the
Sister, can you
I
grassroots,
think
just
hear
the
she's
us?
regular
muted.
working people. I
She's
just think
muted.
that the world cannot look to the Black American for
I
anything.
can hear her. She's
I'm
talking,
sorry.
but she's not
I
Yep.
hearing.
think that Black
Yep.
Americans need to focus, get ourselves together, identify ourselves,
I think she's muted.
and try to build marriages and families. We have to
Her
go back
mic
to
is
the
possessed.
grassroots. And I know a lot of Black
That
people
sounds
are
like
going
a
to hate me for
recording,
saying
like
this, but
somebody
I had
recorded it.
revisited Up from Slavery by Booker T. Washington and Souls of Black Folks by Du
Nah,
Bois.
that recording was on
And
point
I
though for a
read
second.
both of those books, and I had to say it saddens me. I believe Booker T. Washington was right about Black folk.
Oh, she crying.
So it
Oh,
breaks my heart. But he said we we need to focus on ourselves to be 100% self-sufficient, to be able to feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, and only
Yeah, this is
focus on that
pre-recorded.
maybe
She
for
she
several
she
generations
pre-recorded
before
it.
we try to branch
Nah.
off
She
into
pre-recording
politics
something.
and be
how
All right,
self-sustained
cut her
for
how is
off,
it
ourselves
Dinus.
to be
Cut her
able
pre-recorded?
off.
to take care of
That's a
ourselves.
real
We need
Gullah
to focus
Geechee
on
there.
building
That's
Yeah,
a
cut
real
her off,
communities.
Gullah
Dinus. It
Geechee.
might
And
be a
I think
CIA
we should
shit.
follow the Tuskegee model.
It,
How is it
it might be a
pre-recorded when
CIA shit. Cut her off.
she was answering us? She was going
Yeah.
back and forth with us.
I think Black
Hold
Yeah,
people
on.
got to
that's
go back
She
to
put it
AI.
on
basics.
play. She
Hold
just put
on.
it on
I
play.
think we're not good
Hold
for
on.
anybody
Miss
in the
Ivy.
world right now.
Miss Ivy. Miss Ivy. Can you hear
And
us?
that's the way I feel.
No, Dinus. It's AI.
Nah, that's some good AI shit.
They got good AI, bro. That's
Bro,
AI. I'm telling you.
it's a science thing.
Miss
I
Ivy.
mean that AI was on point.
Yeah.
What happened? Is she gone? Is she still there?
Oh no, she dropped off. But
All right,
Yeah, it's AI. Dinus,
Dinus. This is
that's
why.
how they
no,
monitor you,
no, no,
bro.
no, no. But Delroy, hold on. It's funny you said that because I was talking to a lady a couple of days ago. Who
Mhm.
she came on a tour with me to Sierra Leone. She's in Ghana now, and so we were talking, and she was telling me she was in Ghana and she got her doctorate, and call me doctor. Was that whatchamacallit, blase rase. But then it just kept repeating it. Like it just kept
Right.
repeating the same thing. And I just hung up. I was just like, hello, hello. Okay, you already told me this. And just kept repeating it.
Right.
And it hung up. But I'm just lost. Like,
But did the
so
AI malfunction because the
I
AI was
don't
going
know. I
back and
don't know,
forth with us?
Kofi. I don't know. Like I called her, she
It's
answered.
AI, bro.
Hey, how you doing? It's Dinus. Yeah. All is well. Blah blah. Oh yeah. Call me this. I'm Doctor So and So. I moved to Ghana now. I said, okay, cool. What else is new? Then she repeated it again. Then I said, okay, you already told me that. What else is how's everything else going? It repeated again, and then I was just
It
like,
was CIA.
yeah. Then I just hung up because it was just weird.
Yeah, AI, bro.
It was CIA.
That's why I said what I said,
Dinus,
bro.
AI is
One
more
second. One
dangerous than
second.
a nuclear weapon, bro.
What?
But come on, we was
This is
dialogue
why I
we was
said what I
dialoguing good with
said,
that
bro.
AI though. Come on, that AI was
Mhm.
dialoguing good.
Can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Let's
No,
not discriminate.
but Delaware, I'm just confused. Like how, like I would. So okay, so the AI, like, so she'll talk first, and then just let the AI continue to repeat itself.
Right, exactly. And then she get off. I'm
Yeah.
telling you, this shit is
Can y'all
good.
hear me?
It's good.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we hear you,
Yes,
Del.
we do.
But she answered
Okay.
my question directly when I specifically directed.
But she's coming back on. Hold on one second, Miss Ivy, you there? Miss Ivy, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was just weird. Kenyans write that AI prompt. She was a bot.
She gotta teach us how to do that. I don't know.
Hey, you got
Donald Trump
Dinus.
Center.
Dinus, did you see the post I sent you? The video I sent you about the black scientist, mathematician that's responsible for AI?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but she was talking about that Solon. It means it's a Solon emerging as a term on social media around 2020, 2025. Refers to soul people or soul Americans, specifically designating Black Americans descended from U.S. chattel slavery, who are indigenous to North America.
So is
Or
it that wrong? That sounds right to me.
Yeah, it sounds. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. Hold on, let me.
Mhm.
Miss Ivy, you there? Miss Ivy, unmute yourself. Yeah, that
Yo,
shit was
this is
wild.
interesting, man. I told you these
Yeah,
people are studying us,
the AI
man.
is coming back.
Delaware, I'm starting to get afraid. Like I'm thinking,
No,
Terminator,
they
the Terminator shit. Like,
Terminator,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's true.
That's the
It's true.
first
I
thing I
mean,
thought about Terminator.
it's just technology, bro. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's true.
Yo, they got an
T1000.
AI
I
called
just want T1000s and the go,
yo.
T1000
Yeah,
pop up at the
yeah,
door and
I'm
go
telling
alive.
you, bro.
Yo, they got AI agents that could do the work while you're outside the house. All you gotta do is
Yeah.
pre-program it, and it programs itself. It's called Claude
Man,
Mm-hmm.
I need to. Hold on.
Darius,
I'm glad you reminded me. I need to go research this cloud bar because a lot of people have been talking about this lately.
Danas, this is why I say what I say. We're constantly studying. The
Yes,
other thing,
constantly.
pay attention to this. I always observe this. I said, why did we think that when they mixed into our people, it doesn't have long-term ramification or it's by chance. They know that generations to come, by mixing in, they're going to be a generation that are confused and that are going to take side with them. So I noticed when she came on, she said, I am European, I am African, I'm Native American, and that stuck with me. I'm like, why is she pushing that? Because I don't
That's
care
the
what
Africans.
I don't.
Africans are doing it.
Ben, don't interrupt them. Go ahead, Menganga.
Yeah. So by mentioning, for me, I don't care about no doggone Eurasian admixture. I'm African. I'm not gonna let what the product of slavery did that would cause me to side with them or be sympathetic. No, I'm here to defend my blackness, my Africanness. Period. No compromise.
But you know that in the
So
future,
let's pay attention now. So we pay attention
you got
in the so-called Arab world.
yeah.
Look what happened in the Arab world. Why France, America, Britain always control them. Look in Yemen. You have
Yep.
so many different factions fighting each other, and they cannot present a unified front. Look in Iran. It's the same divide and conquer. It's the same game is played. So when you have that acronym that she gave us, and all these acronyms, they can always approach someone in any of those organizations and use them.
Dinus.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's I don't want to come across as being racist.
No, go ahead.
But majority of these AIs that are infiltrating Black American or mainly Black American discussions are Africans. They're the ones that are doing it. They're using AI. I've seen this online.
So Miss Ivy, but
I mean, but the technology is here. The technology is based here. So
Stop lying. It's not
Oh,
Africa.
go ahead,
So
kiddo.
where did you get that? Where did they get?
let's not give all the credit
Hold on. Let me
to.
pass the mic to kiddo. Go ahead, kiddo.
Stop lying,
That's a
man.
lie.
It's not Africans. You see, there's the. Thank you very much. I would like to touch on different things. Please just give me the space,
They
please.
not that smart.
You'll be
You see,
surprised.
South Africa.
I'm
Hold on,
joking.
man. You be talking
They
here,
are
please.
infiltrating
Let
Black
kid,
American.
go ahead, kiddo.
Let him speak, please. Let him speak.
You be talking since like AI here since, man. Diners. You see, you someone talk about South Africa. South Africa be sponsored by a white man, a Dutch billionaire. When they think the South Africans want to know more things or want to come close to the other Africans to learn about business so that they can encounter them, they will bring out immigrants and sponsor with money, some certain group, keep people, everybody running. FBA, whatever they want to call it, they can call themselves subgroup or sub-tribe, no problem with that. But when they came out the first time, they used them to prepare for Donald Trump to come to power. And that is this group, influencers, attack Africans, who will find how to settle with the Latinos first, how they will destabilize themselves. These people never love Africans. They can talk sweet. Oh no, we're not hate group. We're not this, we're not that. Man, the first time they came out, Africa is not going to be included. Africa is not this, Africa is not that. You can be anything. Africa is not going to disturb you. How many population of Africa is in the United States? Do you think it's easy for Africans to come to the United States? No. It's not easy to get a visa to come to the United States. The Masamusa aspect, I think, is only black people that can forge history. Very, very good. They will believe on those lies and stand by those lies. It's only black people. It's only black man can say, I'm Russian. Why is not really Russian? It's only black people can say, oh, I'm this. I don't understand why black, I mean general black people. I'm not talking about the one in the United States. Just general black people forge what's called fake history that never actually exists. The white Europeans are very good in telling you where they're from exactly. They don't forge no fake history to themselves. You can say, okay, they can manipulate this to get business, to dominate you. But they will tell you, I'm from here. You know? So there's no Masamusa in America. No black man have never built a boat that can handle that ocean called I don't know what that big ocean. The wave of that big ocean is the ocean that is killing people in Nigeria. If you swim in the wrong way, you're gone. That's even a little one. To talk of about a huge boat. Africans have never built huge boat that's up to 10-story building.
You said
But the
Africa
technology
never
comes
built
from
boats before?
Egypt. The
You said
technology
Africa
comes
never
from
built boats
Africa.
before?
Hold on,
The
bro. Let
technology
me
comes from
finish.
Africa.
Brandon, give me 2 minutes. If you see where they built those boats that can handle this ocean, their ancestors have been doing it for a long time. Have you been to the Netherlands called Orp? These are boat builders, fishermen.
Bro,
So
slow down, man. Slow down. All right,
hold
back
on,
up.
Nigerians build boats now.
Nah, nobody don't want to hear free me no more, man.
hold
You
on,
don't know
hold on.
this. Kofio is right. Kofio is right about Egypt.
So
Kofio is right about Egypt.
some of these
You don't have to
some
go
of these
that. You
people
don't
some of
have to
these
go
people
that far.
that
But let him speak.
there is some of these people have what called half metal problem. They need mercy and they need to be treated. It's just because the Jamaicans, the Black Americans are bringing their hatred out on social media. The Jamaicans are as the Black Americans too. They hate Africans. Thank you, Dan.
Jamaicans hate Africans?
Yes, don't pretend.
This man
Man,
is a
listen, bro.
policeman.
Get off the
Listen,
channel.
get
He's
on
a
Shut up.
well,
Yo,
get us
you
get
be on
on.
Get
Afrodollars
off
too
the
much,
channel,
man.
Did
bro.
he come in here?
Ola, you be on
Did he,
Afrodollars too
hold on.
much.
Did he come in here and just said that Africans didn't know how to build any boat and didn't have
That's what he
the
said. He's an
technology
idiot.
to navigate
Okay,
the African easterly wind trade currents into the Americas, and then try to say that the European had the technology and they far superior. Hey, move your bumper clot.
Exactly.
That
Move
West
your
Africans
bumper clots.
navigated Europeans to the Americas. That's a fact.
Ola Kidola, the sophisticated boat that they used, but the Spanish used and the Portuguese, some of them were built by the far West African in the Senegambian region.
Of
Do you know
course.
they still use even a smaller version of them to actually travel to
In East Africa too.
no, they travel with them not no they travel them to Tenerife and all these islands. From some of
Yes.
them die in it, but they still use
Yeah.
it. You know, but back in the days it was sailing boats, and the expertise that the Almoravid provided, which are Berber West African people, you know, show to Spain, and that's the same expertise that they use to learn how to make a lot of these wooden boats over Europe. These
They have
sailing
a
boats.
boat in Egypt right now that's still preserved in the
The
No,
museum.
you don't have to
Dafona,
go. I'm not going. I'm going back to like the 14th century and 15th century
Yeah,
before
yeah, bro.
there's an
Yeah, they
before the
built boats like that
8,000-year-old
in
boat
Africa too.
found in Nigeria called the Dafona canoe. Dafuna canoe. Maybe I'm not pronouncing it correctly,
Now
but
you see
We shouldn't
now
even
you see
discuss
the
this
kind of
because this is
mind.
ridiculous.
Now you
This
see the
don't. It's
kind
not
of
even worth
mind.
discussing.
No, hold on.
Well,
Now you see. Now, all right, stop for a minute. Let's say this guy who just spoke is Tanubu. Let's say he's Quatara and all of those sellouts. This is the kind of mindset they have. Why they quickly sell out their own people.
Once you have that kind of thinking, inferiority complex, man, you don't value your people, man. This is what
No, but
this person personified that.
you see, what you don't understand is West Africa, we're slightly different people, all got different mindset, right? So and you know when only when it comes to the continent you understand the people and their cultures and why these people are like this and so on. So
Yo,
let's let everyone have their opinion respectfully. But
if he's
yo,
if he's
I
Nigerians are
Brother, you
producing
cannot say that,
ships
if
Bridget.
now.
he's
You
from
cannot say
Nigeria, I
that.
could understand why he said that. If
No,
he's
you
from Nigeria,
cannot say that,
because
Bridget.
he's Nigerian, yeah, he's
Nigeria
Nigerian,
no
he's
Why you
history,
Nigerian.
defending him with that kind of
because they have
mindset?
no they didn't
No,
learn, they kept
but
them from
my
learning
brother,
history.
my brother, see, the problem is you don't blame Nigerians, for thinking the way they
We're
are
not
because
talking about
No, not
Nigeria,
them. I
Nigerians.
didn't blame
We're
them.
talking
The
about
it
the
was,
history,
mindset that we
the
just exhibit.
history.
yeah,
They
that's what
didn't
I'm
learn
talking about. I'm
history.
talking about the mindset. I'm talking about the mindset. Okay, I'm coming. The thing is, Nigeria were really mix up and box up, if you want to call it that way. By the British. Where they use
Yes.
religion, tribalism, this, and they add the raw capitalism on top of it. So it's like a fast-moving space. They all think about money. It's more like a personal thing. They're very individualistic. Yeah, there's no
But
patriotism in Nigeria compared to other African countries.
Religion kill Africa, bro. That's the
exactly.
main problem in
Before,
Africa right now is
before,
religion.
before religion, it was tribalism. Let me tell you one thing.
Okay.
Before religion, there was still tribal wars. Okay,
Nah,
so
bro.
let's make that clear.
Religion is the culprit. It's the key. Religion is the
And
key,
also,
bro.
there are different reasons why people are having wars.
You
People
see?
find reason to have wars, but the thing is, when it comes to internal issue, fighting each other in a more internal issue, tribalism probably have lasted the
No,
longest in the continent.
But hold on for a
religion, bro. It's
minute,
not
bro. Hold
tribal.
on for 1 second.
I don't use the word
No,
tribe
but
because that's a white word. So I don't
okay,
like
okay.
tribe. You know
If
what I'm
you
saying?
if you meant it in that broad
Say
way, if you
ethnically.
meant it in that broad way, that's fine. Okay, if you meant it in that way, okay, that's fine. But there's always reason for us to divide. It's very easy. We are very because we're not all the same in culturally. In Africa, I'm talking about Africa here. So it's like it's all about alliance. Which tribe is more
I mean,
related,
that's
or which
people
people
in
are more?
general, bro. That's people
Yeah,
in
We know
general.
that,
yeah.
brother.
The Germans, they're
We
all the
know
same.
that. We are aware of that.
Yeah, that's people in
Yes.
general.
Someone was gonna ask me a question. Yeah.
So therefore, you have no problem with the foundational Black American identity then?
No,
It's
no.
not.
Honestly, I said that from the beginning. I said African Americans need to identify
You
themselves
know,
as a certain group. Okay, let me just finish. As a certain group of people in the continent of America, due to their historical link to the place and how old they've been there, so they're not mixed with the new Africans that came in, who have different interests to them in America. Because the Africans that are coming in, they just are migrants. You that are there, it's you. And what I notice also, it risk undermining your hard work that you have built over the years, like the civil rights movement. For example, an average African will more likely to be more to tolerate racism and accepting it than the African American, okay? Because you got different historical background. This is the same thing that happened in the UK where I live. The Caribbeans were more hostile towards racism. The Africans were more chill about it. And then the more the average white dude interact with the Nigerian, for example, the more they will be like, oh yeah, I saw this bad dude and I call him a nigger. I didn't get punched in the face, so I could do it to every black person, for example, right? So it's like a different cultural thing, different historical thing, and also different values. And when these things clash, regardless, of where you come from, it's going to be a problem. And I think that's what you face between the cultures in the Western world today. That goes from the US to the UK. But in the UK, we managed to fix most of this problem out, where we all work together because we know we're very vulnerable. Our numbers are actually dwindling.
Yeah, yeah, but the
Okay.
UK is getting ready to collapse, bro. What are you still doing there?
No, the UK is fine. You know what? The UK is fine. Honestly, the problem with the UK,
Bro,
lot of
it's getting
people,
ready to collapse, man.
lot of
You
black
know it.
people,
All those Indians
lot of
are
black people.
keeping the UK up.
No, don't worry. Most of the black people that came here, this city that I live is the second best city in the whole UK. Most of the elites and most of the service economy is here. Okay, and the area in the central areas of Bristol, my city. It was actually all Jamaicans. They own all the properties. They had
Yeah,
it all,
I
bro.
know. I have family there.
Okay, exactly. And guess what? They sold them.
Miss Michelle, can you
They
hear
sold them
me?
out.
Yeah,
They auctioned them out.
Miss Michelle.
I hear
yeah,
you.
but Britain's about to collapse, bro. Forget about that place. All of Europe is about
No,
to
it's not.
collapse right now. They broke as hell.
The last country that will collapse with to like in a large scale is going to be Britain because they're actually still surviving under the Commonwealth. They're still
Yeah,
eating.
yeah, yeah. That's
You
true. But they
understand?
broke as hell, bro.
Mm.
They get ready to
I
borrow
wanted to
money.
say something to Miss Michelle.
Delroy,
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
wanted to
Yeah.
say something to Miss
We
Michelle.
gotta
Yes,
close
I'm
out.
here.
you said,
I'm here.
Delroy, you said
Okay.
something that is
Miss
very
Michelle,
profound,
Hold on, man.
and
Let
that
Well,
I
let Michelle
believe.
speak. Let Michelle speak.
hold on. Burkina Bay, ask your question, and Benny Gaz Delray a question, then we gotta close out.
Okay. Michelle, I think that the biggest topic, the most important topic that we should be bringing up about FBA is about immigration, because I think the American power structure tricked FBAs into thinking that immigration is possible in the United States thanks to FBAs.
Well, first of all,
So
I think us not controlling our history as Black diaspora, the Black diaspora needs to recognize it's the contributions of their predecessors, the freedmen family that was here prior, that made the way for our family from diaspora to come post 1965. That needs to be recognized and that needs to be respected. And then their claims for reparation. I think if those basics were understood, we wouldn't have these disagreements. Like that Nigerian, I believe he was a Nigerian gentleman that came up a few minutes ago talking about Black people are slow and we didn't build a sea and all that. And see, that type of stuff, that's what Black people dislike. So when they go on a Tariq show or get on like Mr. Zanu, that's why we shut you. That's why we get upset and get shut down and say, "Hey, we're American." Boom, because of these type of characters. And we, as a diaspora, see this. You should automatically be shutting these type of folks down. Mr. Zanu, anybody who's coming with a Zanu type of talking point needs to be shut down immediately because you're causing discourse in our diaspora family.
Exactly. Definitely.
But do you really think the Chinese should be thankful to the FBA because they're allowed in the U.S.?
No, because it's actually because what happened is that with the Black immigrants that come in, they're using the Black American identity. The Chinese uses a Chinese identity. The Chinese, wherever they go, they're using a Chinese identity. But when the Black immigrants come here, they're using the Black American identity, and that's a concern.
The Indians do it too. The Indians will cut their head bald and say they're Black American.
I mean, Tariq and so forth have addressed that too. Everybody is placating off the Black American experience for their own benefit, and that needs to be addressed.
But there's nothing wrong with that as long as it's equally exchanged, right? When we go into y'all countries, we need the same programs.
That's not happening.
Mm-hmm. With the exception of Ghana trying to give us citizenship.
I think they pushed back on that. I heard something to that effect.
And the AES is the only hope we got, bro. That's it. The AES is the only hope we got.
The point that I
doubt
wanted to
it. But there's a lot of countries that can give hope to Africa. I mean, Sierra Leone, Liberia, we have never been enemies with the West.
AES.
No, we never been. I think we need to work. If AES can work.
You gotta give us. You gotta give some more executive powers to keep this chat going.
if AES was to align with Sierra Leone and Liberia in the early stage, where they actually be more Western, more Western alliance, and work through a more British global influence. Because I think the British, we might hate or like the British. I live in a city of abolitionists, also enslaved trade masters. The British helped free slaves.
Don't give him no credit, bro. Don't give him no credit.
No, I know, I understand. I'm not doing it, but
don't give him no credit, bro. That's it. Nah. Don't give him no credit.
Why would you do that, bro? Why would you be giving these people credit? That's very contradictory, bro.
No, listen.
I'm confused about your position.
Don't give them no credit, bro.
Thank you. The reason I'm not giving them credit, the reason why I'm saying is they are better devils than the ones that.
No, better devil. Devil is a devil. Straight up.
Yep.
All right. I
All
want to
right,
listen
guys.
to
Let me guys.
I want
Let me pass the mic. We gotta let me pass the mic. We gotta close out. TMITHC. Unmute yourself.
Rise and shine, everybody. Rise and shine, proud
Amen.
Americans.
Amen.
For it is I, the man in the high castle. I return to Yoruhuru TV once more. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, planet Earth.
Good evening.
Good evening, my brother.
How are you doing?
Not bad on this side of the world. Yourselves, I see y'all talking about FBA. How may I assist you?
Why do you think ABC took down the FBA Black History segment?
That's a very good question, sir. The man in the high castle has interpreted this as it wasn't supposed to be green light. There was a couple other caveats that they wanted to include in the segment that wasn't included. And someone brainstormed and had their own idea, said, no, I'm pushing this one through.
What they wanted included.
I think they wanted to include more diversity, such as immigrants in the subject.
Foundational immigrant American
I
Black
think they
history.
wanted something special like that. Yep.
But they could have did it for them individually.
Well, I think that was the problem.
I think
we'll get
okay.
down to the bottom of this soon enough. It's interesting, but I think someone had bright ideas and was told they couldn't do something unless they had something else included. And as simple as that, they went with it.
Well, I think they just didn't want young people to really know what happened in America, and they definitely don't want them to know what type of inventions, what type of scientific breakthrough African American did, because if young people find out, what African Americans really did, you see what I'm saying, invented just about everything under the sun, as far as when it comes to something of value, like simple stuff like we used to, like the GPS. You see what I'm saying? That woman just died, by the way. They don't want them to really know, because the entire history book have to be changed. I listened to a white dude said one time, he's a professor of history. He said when he eventually learned about history, right, and how it really went, he went home and tore up all of his diplomas. You see what I'm saying? Because to know exactly what happened. People don't know, not even I'm talking about even black people don't know the slightest. They just know surface stuff like the traffic light and they just know small stuff. They don't know the extent of the invention that was done here. You see what I'm saying? That was done here. And those people.
Are you FBA, sir?
No, I'm not. But I know
You
my
African
history.
American?
I'm from the Caribbean, but I know my
I got
history.
you. And I'm not
I know
trying to
my
cut you
history.
off. So you're saying that we foundational Black Americans, we full-blood Americans, do not know our history. Still, you keep saying these things.
No,
Oh
the
my
average
God! Why you think the man?
African American do not know their own history. The
You're the
average African
African
American
American.
don't
We are
they don't know.
full-blood
The average
Americans. We are
African, hold on
foundation.
a second, bro. The average Africans don't know their history. The average Black Caribbeans don't know their history. You see what I'm saying?
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying,
FBA
if they
know
found
their
out,
lineage very well.
if no, they do not. No, they do not.
Very well.
Dude,
No,
You're
can you
they do
stop
not.
talking
speaking
like
to
that
They
it.
do
and
not.
use your real voice, man? Snap out of it. Snap out of it.
Exactly. Don't stop sounding like an AI, bro. No, they do not. You see what I'm saying? I know that for a fact. They do not. Okay, because if they did, they wouldn't be they wouldn't worry about being a foundational Black American. They wouldn't if they really knew the history. You see what I'm saying? They would not.
If
Don't forget,
people
bro.
knew their history like you're saying they don't, trust me, you wouldn't be coming over here in droves. You still wouldn't be. You would be fixing up your homeland.
Yeah, I
Bruh,
disagree that they do know their history. Most of them
they
do.
don't know that they're supposed to know it, bro. They
We know
don't.
our
They
history.
don't.
You're speaking
Okay,
on
The
okay.
like
reason
Name,
why
I
name.
people
wanna
are
I wanna
Okay,
coming over
clear up
here
how
because the
you're
United States
speaking.
dollar is
name 10.
economically collapsing.
I
Name,
wanna explain
name 10
how come
invention.
you're inaccurate.
Name
Just
10
briefly.
invention by African American. Name 10 right now.
Deportation, ICE,
I say invention.
tethers.
Name 10
Invention.
invention by African
Oh
American
God,
right
I
now.
thought
God
this
bless
guy. I thought
America.
he was serious.
Nah, you
Because
ain't
you
serious,
think this
bro.
is a
Get up.
game.
You
You
don't
ain't.
know, man.
It's the game. No, you a AI, bro. Get off the channel. You a AI. You a AI. Diners, close the show
So
out, bro. Get
hold
this AI out of here.
on, yo.
You are AI, bro. Yeah.
Delroy. Let me tell you the 10 invention: ICE, deportation.
Yeah.
I can
All
keep
right, y'all.
going.
Let's go ahead and close out.
Poor
Everyone,
idiot.
donate, like, share,
Yeah.
subscribe.
All right,
Oh,
Diners.
that's
So let
so
me read this
funny,
last
man.
super chat.
This is crazy.
Passport
Yeah, man.
10. Thank you for $3 holla. Black Kemet
That
and
is
African
funny.
ships with proprietors
God
read.
bless America. God
Let's
bless
see here.
Borders
Yeah,
Out.
God bless
Tom
America
Woman.
too, bro.
Subscribe, but till next time, family. That is
Okay, AI, we hear
ICE
you,
is
AI.
Benghazi.
Danfo offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshi traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danfo, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danfo, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danfo, Africa. To learn more, visit danfo.africa.